Wondery Plus subscribers can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free right now. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
Hello, and welcome to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
And I am Jimmie Whisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us today. We are excited, thankful to be back, thankful to be alive. We apologize for last week, but I made a bad mistake with some shrimp.
You shrimped yourself.
You don't want to take chances with shrimp. If you go, it's a little slimy, just don't eat it. Don't. Yeah. You shouldn't. 'Cause I actually said, this is amazing. I actually said, I think the cocktail sauce there's so much horseradish in it, that's going to kill anything that's on it.
What a ridiculous thought.
That just makes it hurt a lot worse when it's coming back up, as a matter of fact. So avoid bad shrimp as if I need to tell you that. So I apologize, but would have been no fun last week. Thank you for all you've done for us this week. Of course, we are obviously thankful for your reviews. First of all, Apple Podcast, that purple icon, give us 5 stars on there. Why? We don't know. But it helps. It helps drive us up the charts. So we appreciate everyone who's done it. Doesn't matter what you say whatever you want. It just helps on the business end. Head over to shutupandgivememurder.com right now for everything crime and sports and small town murder. And there's going to be something very, very special to get there very soon, coming up this week in a couple days, and we'll announce it on social media at Crime and Sports, on Twitter and Facebook at Small Town Murder on Instagram. But we will have a virtual live show for Crime and Sports.
Right.
It will be for Crime and Sports. So we had to fight for this one because they were like, yeah, awesome, let's do Small Town Murder. And we were like, no, we're going to do Crime and Sports. And they're like, oh, yeah, okay, sure. That has a lot less listeners, though, right?
But that's the one we want to do.
We like it, and it's good, so it's going to be great. And I promise you, we're going to do somebody famous. We'll break out one of the heavy hitters that we haven't done at all, and that'll be the only place you'll get to hear it. We'll be on that, so enjoy. So get your tickets for that when they're available this week. Shutupandgivememurder.com. Also, patreon.com/crime and sports. My God, have we had so much good bonus stuff lately. You missed last week the prisoner dating game, which was probably our best one, I think. It was pretty wild stuff there. You missed that. You missed the Hotel Cecil discussion and all that stuff with the Elisa Lam disappearance. This week coming up, patreon.com/crime and sports. We have, for Crime and Sports, we have the story of Marv Albert and his troubles. If you don't know who Marv Albert is, he was the voice of the NBA forever.
The wig-wearing greatest voice ever.
He's the guy who says yes after a shot goes in. Yes, and you're like, that sounds great. The voice of kind of 90s basketball. He had a real big just a bump in the road there with a sexual assault / weird kinky shit that he was into that everyone was like, Marv Albert's into that shit? It was really weird, and we are going to talk about it. We'll go back to the 90s and have some fun with that because it's going to be insanity.
Was he married at the time?
I'm sure he was. I mean, to make it more whatever, more nefarious and salacious. And then for the Small Town Murder Patreon bonus this week, we will do the Night Stalker Richard Ramirez documentary that's everybody has talked about for the last few months, and we've promised to do it as a bonus episode, and we've put it off a little bit. I've
seen it so many times. It's so good.
It's a crazy one. It's real graphic and everything like that. So it's a wild one. So we're gonna definitely talk about that. That'll be the two. And you get access to everything on patreon.com/crime and sports with your donation. The whole back catalog, both shows, Patreon, everything here. So do that. Patreon.com/crime and sports. And you'll be a producer. Jimmie will give you a shout out at the end of the show and destroy your name, even though he wants to pronounce it well more than anything. But he won't. So do that right now, and we promise you good stuff on there. It's really, really fun. So before any more ado here, I guess would be the way to put it, we have to get to the story today.
Great.
It is
I'd love to hear it.
Craziness. And we have a wrestler today, as promised. Mm-hmm. Of course, let's get into this with Edward Ellsworth Annis.
Oh.
Do you know who that is?
No.
No, it's Teddy Hart.
Name.
To Annis. Yeah, it's close. It's with an I, but still. Teddy Hart it is, who is maybe one of our most requested crime and sports from
Teddy?
Social media. We've gotten so many people saying, please do Teddy Hart. Holy shit. And they send us articles every time he gets arrested, which is quite frequently. So we get a lot of articles. If you go back, he's a real Annis.
Yeah.
You go back in our Twitter feed and look down at, there is a shitload of Teddy Hart, ats for us.
Terrific.
So let's get into this. I think we even have a picture of him that somebody got us in the studio. Didn't someone get us a signed picture of his, I believe?
I don't know.
Somebody, I think, did as like an encouragement to please do Teddy Hart.
What's he look like?
He looks like one of the Harts with short hair. I mean, he looks Canadian. I don't know how else to describe him. He's a very nondescript looking guy, really, as far as wrestlers go. He's born February 2nd, 1980, our friend here. And a lot of good stuff from this came from a couple of specific sources. Number one, a lot of stuff here and there from the Wrestling Observer, which is kind of the, wrestling dirt sheet, as it's called, like the main, like, behind-the-scenes wrestling, here's what's going on, gossip thing. So that's
Real
there.
Wrestling TMZ.
Yeah, Dave Meltzer's publication there. And then a lot came from a really good Rolling Stone article by a guy named Omar Moalem. And that had a lot of good information in it as well. There's a bunch of there's so many sources on this because this guy is out of his fucking mind. He's basically like I would describe his actions like he's like the old dirty bastard of wrestling.
He's
that's
so
the
young.
That's the best way to describe. But yeah, he's like barely 40, but he acts like that, like just a crazy. You know how like in a Wu-Tang song, everybody's got this certain thing that's going on, and then ODB comes in, he's like, whoa, yeah. And you're like, where the fuck did that come from? You know what I mean? This is a great change of pace. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You're like, yeah, this motherfucker's out of his mind.
Somebody stands out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's kind of what he is. He's out of his mind.
All right.
But with, much like ODB, I'm not sure how much is an act and how much is just, hey, that dude's a little out there.
Right.
So he's not, ODB's out there was fun, though.
It was calculated as fuck. He was so good at it.
He was so
good at it.
Do you remember that video, MTV, or I don't remember if it was MTV or BET, somebody played it. It was like a half-hour like Wu-Tang video, like about Wu-Tang Clan. Yeah. And they had this section with ODB, and he would just like, he was in a limo, and he would just like stop on the side of the street and like get out on the sidewalk and take a leak and get back in it. And then he pulled up in the limo to cash his welfare check, and it's because he was fucking. It was the most hilarious thing ever, and it's just like, wow, this guy is out there. That's kind of what this guy is, except if you added cats into it with this guy, because he's got
19 cats instead of kids.
19. 19 would be way more normal than what he's got going on. So he's born in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, like all the Harts are. That's the kind of ground zero for the Harts. It's where they all emerged from. He's the oldest male grandchild of Stu Hart, who was Bret Hart's father, the patriarch of the Hart family. Okay. And the second oldest
grandson. Got it.
Oldest grandson. Yeah. He has 3 siblings. He's got 2 sisters named Annie and Angela, and he's got a younger brother by 3 years named Matthew. Okay. And we'll talk a good amount about him. His dad is also a wrestler. His dad was a wrestler. The Harts are a wrestling family. Everybody involved in the Harts is involved in wrestling in some way. All the daughters married wrestlers. All the sons are wrestlers. Weird. So, and there's like 11 kids. And it's like 7 girls, all married wrestlers, and the rest are all boys, Owen and Brett and Bruce and a couple others. We'll get to the family tree in a minute because you kind of have to understand the family tree to know what the fuck we're even talking about here. So BJ Annis is his dad. Blowjob Anus is his father's name. Are you kidding me, man? Come on. You can't. And that's his real name. And he wrestled under it too. Bradley Joseph Annis. And he went by BJ Annis. You can't. You just can't.
Who did he wrestle for with that name?
RJ Annis would be the only thing worse than that.
Yeah.
Honestly, that'd be the only way you could make it worse. So he wrestled all over the place. He wrestled mainly for Stu Hart in Stampede because he was, in Calgary there. It was his father-in-law. He was a bodybuilder and a power lifter, and he's known as a, real fitness guy, a trainer type of guy for fitness and muscles. He had, or muscles, that's a stupid thing to say, for fitness and muscles. You know how that works. What the fuck am I talking about?
Do you go to the gym and they're like, what do you want to work on today? I want to work on my fitness and muscles.
I'm here to work on my fitness and you know what? And my brain. I'd like to read today. What about that? How is that so wrong? I can't. What's wrong with with some reading instead of working on my muscles all the time? I'll work on my brain today. So
I want to do some writing and literature at the library.
Jesus Christ. Unreal, man. His dad was also owned a gym where he did a lot of his training, and he was also a firefighter as well. A few of the Hart guys are firefighters also. That's the other thing, because some of them are. Yeah. It's kind of along the same lines.
They go hand in hand for sure. Most firemen that I met growing up were fucking giant meatheads. They were in the gym if they weren't at the firehouse.
They like to work out. It makes sense. It's the same.
And I'd love that because that's the guy that's going to have to lift the car off me.
Well, that's the guy you have. That's the guy or the lady that you want. Somebody who is.
Yeah, I've seen some ladies that are
shape.
Holy shit, horrifyingly giant that are fire women. Yeah,
and horrifyingly, you mean like that?
I mean like impressive.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I know your language, but other people be like, "Are they saying giant firefighter women are horrifying?" No, it's not. We're saying like no. We'd be like, oh wow, she could kick my ass, as I think what Jimmie was going for.
Thank God she's that big because this car hurts.
There you go. So he's and also I think a lot of times wrestlers get into wrestling and through the gyms. Like there's countless stories like the Road Warriors and guys like this who met wrestlers while they were working out at the gym, and the wrestlers saw them and they were approached saying, how can I get into the business? And they were like, holy shit, you're huge, you should be in the business. And that's kind of how a lot of the guys got into it. So firefighters, gyms, it all kind of makes sense here. So he worked in Stampede, like we said, and had a gym for a long time. He's married to Georgia Hart, who was Stu and Helen's daughter and Brett's sister. He earned a degree. He's a smart guy too, actually. And so's Teddy. That's the thing that's annoying. Teddy's way too smart to be doing this shit. He's too smart. He's got a great legacy and lineage and all this shit. And he skates on the fact that his last name is Hart. And no matter how much he fucks up or doesn't try, people will always hire him because his name is Hart. So he just skates on that. It's the ultimate wrestling privilege is what he has. He has there's no other way to describe it. There's no other last name I don't think that would do it. I don't think Von Erich would do it. I don't know who would do it, but it's Hart is the one name where you could depend on it because there's so many of them.
Family like that.
You wish your family did anything that was that of note. Yeah. Like that, people would go, well, I'll hire. He's a Whisman. I mean,
for the first part, it'd be nice to be able just to say my last name and they know how to spell it, whether it's good or bad. I could
tell me about it.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And then you spell it, and they still get it wrong, James.
Yeah. People could complain about you on the news and they can't even spell your name right, or my name right, I should say, because they
hate you and they give you a two-name last name.
That was wild. I will say this is by a small town murder. We did one on Loosedale, Mississippi, and the local news decided to talk about the fact that we did this, like the local, I think, CBS affiliate.
It was.
And they misspelled my last name and even broke it into 2 words. So that was impressive. I've never seen my name broken into 2 words. And you can imagine my whole life how many different ways I've seen my name fucked up. Never like that. So I had to give them points for originality.
That's like spelling my name WISS space MAN.
Yeah, like what? Why? Why would you do that? So nice Googling news.
Yeah.
Can't even get a name. It's available to get out there. If you know the name of the podcast, you can search it and just copy and paste, I think. I don't know. I don't know how these things work.
Hosted by James Petro Gallons.
Petro Gallons. We have to give it the space it's due. So anyway, his dad, BJ Anus here, he earned a degree in marine engineering at the Kings Point Military Academy and served as a pilot in Vietnam as well.
Jesus.
So, yeah, he's, a gutsy guy, I would say. He's doing a lot of gutsy shit, firefighting and all that kind of shit. So now let's break down the Hart kind of family a little bit here because unless you really, really follow wrestling and behind the scenes shit, you have no idea. You just hear this name a lot and you're like, who are all these people? Who the fuck are they? Why are they involved? So this all starts from Stu Hart and Helen Hart. They are that's Brett's mom and dad. Yeah. The easiest way to put it.
Well, Stu, a man loved a woman. Go on.
A man loved a woman. Now, they got married in 1947. They had 12 children.
My God.
Yeah, they were pumping them out. And Stu is the famous proprietor of the Dungeon. It's known as the Dungeon, and it's where a lot of wrestlers were trained. I'm talking a shitload of wrestlers were trained there. I mean, it's just one of those things where Stu would bring, we've talked about it before, but in case you're new to the show, Stu would bring people in, and this was even when he was an old man. Right. He would do this. He'd bring these big bound guys in. Come here, let me show you a couple of holds there. Yeah, look at you. Oh, you're a pretty big fella there. Look at oh boy, yeah, you're pretty strong there. Yeah, I don't want you to hurt me there. Yeah, but come here, buddy. And then he'd grab onto you and put you in a hold that would turn your face purple and make an eyeball pop out because it hurt so fucking bad. And he would torture people in a fucking horrific Calgary basement with cats running around everywhere because the Hart family had a shitload of cats. They would shit all over the place. It was really a disaster. Like, I've heard these stories in shoot interviews of Stu Hart literally at the counter making eggs and seeing cat shit on the counter. So he took the spatula and that he's making the eggs with and flicked the cat shit off the counter and then went back to stirring the eggs with it. That's the type of situation we're dealing with. Yeah, that's a story that I heard from multiple people on shoot interviews where I'm just like, that gives you an idea of what we're talking about. I mean, this has to be a mat just infested, dripping with staph infection. Right. I would imagine. It's really
there's cat shit in your eggs. Think about what else is anywhere.
Yeah. And there's 12 kids and a bunch of wrestlers that they'd be training and people be staying there for the weekend and all this. So there's always 25 people in the house and a shitload of cats. And it's just bedlam at this house, man. But they do really well. Stu owns a wrestling territory, Calgary Stampede Wrestling. So it's a big deal in Western Canada. It's the wrestling of Western Canada. So they make a lot of money over time. They have a big estate. This house, by the way, with all these people and cats and shit everywhere, is a big house on a giant estate. And, it's not like some dumpy, they're not like some white trash dumpy family on some trailer in the back of something. This is this is rich white trash. It's very strange. It's a weird situation here.
This isn't they're forced to live like this. They like it.
Oh, this is how they live. Yeah,
they enjoy it.
They enjoy it, and all, like I said, and you think the daughters would be like, one thing I'm not going to do is marry a wrestler because I don't want to be. I'm so sick of hearing, because you just hear, apparently, if you were upstairs, you just hear wayward screams of horror coming from the basement.
Yeah,
not just you'd hear like, oh God, and then that would be that for a second. Please.
They probably just think everybody's house is like this.
And you just ignore that. That was just, Dad's down there helping somebody. Like, what the fuck is going on in this place?
That's what I have to endure when I do my algebra homework.
That's the thing. And can you, Jesus Christ, turn the TV down and please tell Dad to ease up just a little bit on those guys because I can't concentrate.
Can he stop squeezing Uncle Owen's balls for a minute?
I can't read The Great Gatsby. I'm trying to understand what's up with the green light. Can you fucking help me here? So, by the way, Teddy Hart is the last of the Hart clan to be trained in the dungeon.
Okay.
So, and this is from the time he can walk. Pretty much, he's trained in the dungeon. So it's like all of these people are wrestlers from birth. There was never anything else to do, and they just were in the dungeon. And every summer they'd have a ring in the yard that they'd run shit and train in and stuff. So I mean, if you're a kid that likes wrestling and everybody's doing wrestling, it's a fucking dream.
This is awesome. Yeah.
This is awesome. So
these kids are bouncing off their beds with their wrestling buddies.
Yeah.
And I've got actual wrestling buddies in a ring.
That's the thing. My uncles are on television.
Right.
Like
I'm
literally
wrestling them.
And I'm wrestling around with them and they're teaching me and I'm coming off the actual top rope, not like my banister and pretending it's the top rope and making my little brother lay there and wait for an elbow smash. That's not what's happening.
It'd be like Jordan balling up a piece of paper and throwing it in the basket going, Jordan.
Pretty much. That's pretty much what it is. So here are the sons and daughters of Stu and Helen. And then we'll get down to where Teddy is. They had Smith Hart first. So Smith Hart in 1948. He's a wrestler, obviously, and also goes on to kind of be a promoter of his own. Yeah. Bruce Hart is next. Bruce is an interesting one. He tried to kind of insert himself into the WWE in the 90s when they did this one angle, and he's known, I believe, I don't want to say it if it's the wrong guy. It's either it's fucking Bruce, I believe. If it's not Bruce, I apologize, and don't sue us because I'm saying it might not be you.
Right.
I believe Bruce is the one who has a lot of rumors of hanging out with young girls and ended up marrying
a young girl,
a very an unreasonably young girl at an unreasonably old age as well. Because that's. Because I've heard like Billy Jack Haynes, and we're going to do a bonus episode on Billy Jack Haynes because he's just a crazy motherfucker all around and did a lot of crazy shit, ran drugs and shit. We have to do one on him because he talks about, I want to say Bruce, but God damn it, if not Bruce, again, apologies, was like one of the Hart brothers was in a van with underage girls and he had to, like, he quit the territory because of it. He made I don't know if it's true or not. Billy Jack Haynes is crazy. We don't know what he's doing anyway, but...
Have we gotten to the point as a society where a 50-year-old guy dating a 21-year-old is not impressive? Have we gotten there yet? Because for years it was like, I got me a young one. And like guys are like, oh, good for you, bro. And they like high five an old man with a young girl. Are we past that yet?
But
I hope so.
We see it. It just depends on, all of it depends. A lot of it depends on money and class. Yeah. And it's a weird thing. Like, have you ever seen the show Marrying Millions?
No.
Have you? Okay. There's a show called Marrying Millions where it's, quote unquote normal people are going out with rich people. Mm-hmm. And, that's the whole premise of the story. And there's a couple of, say, not May, December, say like February, New Year's Eve relationships going on here. Yeah. So, someone's like 20 and 60 somethings and shit like that happening. And I'm looking at it going, if money's not involved, this is not happening. If some 67-year-old man walked up to a 22-year-old model and was like, hi, on the street, she would have him arrested.
I can give you a ride in my cab anywhere you want to go.
If he didn't roll down his limo window to ask her for whatever, then it wouldn't be the same thing.
Ask her Starbucks order.
Everybody's looking for something there, that's a quid pro quo transaction is what that is here. Like
we know what's happening here.
We know what's happening. Yeah, it's not whatever. So I don't know though, because it's, and like rock stars, like they can, Mick Jagger can be 93, go out with a 20-year-old Brazilian model and everyone's like, that makes sense. And it's like, huh? What are you talking about? Jack Nicholson, they always talk about. It's like, you know how many medications he probably has to take every day? How attractive is that? You're going to wake up with 3 20-year-old girls and be like, get me my rattler of fucking pills on Pop Open Wednesday?
Of fish oil at this point, right? He's got to.
Hey, sweetheart, pop open my Wednesday, will you? I got to take the whole handful. I don't think that's very attractive.
Daily pills probably for Jack Nicholson don't even fit in one of those anymore, right?
No, he's got to have all sorts of shit, and he's got to squint at the bottles. What the fuck, Jesus Christ,
Is this still good?
Oh boy, this one's hard to get down. He's got to get orange juice because it's thicker. It's the only thing that'll push it down. It's a big horse pill. That's what's going on with 83-year-old men, I'm sorry. And if they want their dick to work, forget about it. It's a whole other problem. More pills, then you got to balance that out with what's that going to do to their heart. It's a problem. Right. So, really got sidetracked.
I just want to get, as a society, I'd love to get past that. Like, it's disgusting.
Stop. Yeah. Well, now we've made it so that everybody side-eyes that. You might get an older guy who's like, hey, good for you, buddy. But anybody below that man's age is like, come on, bro. Like, look at this fucking asshole.
You're sick, bro.
Yeah. we've made it really impressive if a woman pulls a much younger guy.
Right.
And that guy is way more nefarious than that younger woman. I'll tell you that right fucking now.
Absolutely.
If you see that, don't trust that guy for a fucking minute.
Don't give him $1. Don't let him borrow your car. Don't give him anything.
Because he's
stealing it from her anyway.
That's what I mean. He's just going to take it from her.
Right.
It's possible for women have the capacity, and you can say this is a misogynist thing, but it's a compliment. Women have the capacity to look beyond physical things at some point and love people in certain ways that men just don't have that capacity.
True. I've got a girlfriend.
That's what I mean. It's the way it is.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. And there are women who truly love men who are fucking goblins. And you're like, how do you love that person? You're like, I don't know. I just love his big, ugly head. And they love him. They truly find him attractive. Whereas with men, don't trust that motherfucker.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
Don't trust him.
No.
It's just, and you'll say, oh no, this person's not. No, it's don't trust them. Their men are sleazy people and they're after something. Watch.
I just don't like I mean, obviously, we have to have an age that's legal to fuck. That just has to be a thing. Otherwise, people will. There are worse men than the guys that fuck the barely legal ones.
Oh yeah, at least they're waiting.
Right.
If they could, they'd fuck a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
But at least they're like, I don't want to go to jail. Fine. If that's what keeps you from doing it, I don't even care. Just don't do it.
But that just tells you if a dude that is constantly getting after chicks that are that age, they would absolutely fuck younger than that. It's just they're not allowed.
Yeah, they're not allowed to. That's an absolute fact.
It's disgusting.
I
hate an arbitrary number added to it. But the guys that hover around it are the worst. And I would never want to associate with a single person that is like, whether they're CEO,
no.
billions of dollars.
Well,
guys that do that shit, I want to kick them.
We've associated with plenty of them while we're getting paid for a weekend to do comedy with them. Because,
right. But I still want to kick them to sleep.
Yeah, absolutely. But you just described like every 52-year-old comedian on the road, though. They're like,
yeah.
You're like, oh, is this your? You don't want to say it because it's. You hope it's their daughter, but it's not.
Who's this? That's my go-to.
Yeah. Who's this? Yeah, hi.
I don't step on anything. You explain it.
Yeah. Look, am I going to take guesses? All right, we got really off the chart there, off the track. No, I took you off the track, for Christ's sake. So next is Bruce, then is Keith after that, again a wrestler, then Wayne. He briefly was a wrestler, but then he's a referee mainly after that. Then Dean. Dean is a wrestler as well. Dean is it's either Dean or Bruce. I'm not sure. The one that Billy Jack Haynes said was a pervert, not the one we said's a pervert, allegedly.
Right.
And who knows,
Okay.
Allegedly, and all legal protectors. I don't know. We're not saying it's true. Then Elizabeth after that, who goes by Ellie, and she ends up whatever. Then Georgia after that, another daughter. Then Brett finally, so he's right in the middle here.
Yeah.
Brett's middle of the pack, and I guess on the younger end. Allison after that. Then Ross, another wrestler after that. Then 1963 is Diana. She's the one who married not Billy Jack Haynes, Davey Boy Smith, and another 3-word wrestler. Davey Boy Smith, and we've talked about that crazy book that she wrote that was just like the craziest fucking episode of Maury you've ever heard in your life. Like, just nuts about Billy Jack. I keep saying Billy Jack Haynes because I was talking about that.
Haynes is getting all kinds
no, he's a fucking maniac. He deserves what he gets. All right. But Davey Boy Smith saying that he would fucking drug her and rape her ass when she slept, and like her and
Lord.
Remember we talked about it in the Neidhart episode because his wife said, "Oh yeah, me too." That was like a thing they did. Yeah. So that's what was going on. Her crazy ass book.
Rape in your sleep. That's horrible.
That's
in your drugged stupor.
Horrific.
Yeah.
Is what that is. That is criminal. That's what that is.
Right. On your wife.
That's criminal no matter who it's on. That's some criminal shit. Unless she was like, hey, this is what I need you to do. I'm going to watch TV at some point tonight. Just bring me something with drugs in it and then just totally fuck my ass when I'm sleeping. That would be a different story. I'd film it and I want to watch it when I get up and I'm going to just fucking diddle
I want to take care of your needs. You understand? I love being what you want. I just don't want to be awake for it.
You know how that is. No, she's like, it just turns me on to watch it later or something. And I'd still be like, no, that's creepy. I'm not doing
Look
that.
Look at me going so hard.
So now Helen, the mother of 12 children, was told that she probably wasn't going to be able to have children when she was younger. So that's pretty funny.
They wrong.
Yeah, she spit out a shitload of children. She wanted to have 15 children. That's what they were going for. But they said they cut it short at 12 because she had, medical problems.
And enough.
Your insides, I assume, things wear out after a while. It's got to be like a belt on a car. Like after 12 of them, things are just going to fall out of you. Yeah. Like you've worn out your ovaries. We can't fix it. There are too many babies in there. Just stop.
Like a loose belt. It squeals when you pee. What is that?
When you pee involuntarily because you don't. It just fucking. I've heard that.
When you laugh, there's a squeal.
I've heard women complain about that if they've had a lot of kids. That's a problem where they're like, I don't know. I don't know what that is medically. I'm not a doctor, but that sounds scary, and I'm really sorry that happens to you.
It's a bad elastic somewhere, right?
Tell me, if you were a woman, would you ever have a child? No fucking way. If it switched right now to only men could have children somehow biologically, if we woke up to there would be no more children born.
No.
We would all be like,
adoption would be booming.
Happening. Oh, that's until we ran out of kids, and that would be it then.
Right.
End of society, because we'd be like, I'm not doing that. Are you fucking crazy?
We would adopt foster homes out of business.
Yeah, well, we did it for millions of years. Well, that was your fucking problem. We're not doing it. That sounds like it hurts.
It's my fault. You're dumb? What?
Jesus Christ, you shouldn't have done that. What were you doing fucking us for all those millennia? What the hell's wrong with you?
Deal.
Yeah, it's not good. No. Okay. Now, Smith had 6 children. So now we're going to branch the tree off. He had 6 children, 4 of which biologically are his, 2 of which are adopted here. His wife here, okay. Bruce has 5 children, and a junior in there, of course. So a bunch of kids there. And let's see, Diana and Davy Boy Smith here, they were married. Keith has 3 children also. Holy shit, there's so many kids here. Dean has 1 child. Ellie has 3 daughters from Jim the Anvil Neidhart, one of them being the wrestler, Natalia Neidhart there. And Georgia has 4 kids. Georgia's married to BJ Anus. And they have, like we said, Annie, Angela, Matthew, and Teddy.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Brett obviously has a bunch of kids as well. He named them weird shit. He named one Blade.
No.
He named a kid Blade.
Like the Wesley Snipes character?
Yeah, he named him Blade.
Nice.
I don't know why he did that there. So, yeah, Brett's been married 3 times as well. A couple kids for all the others. Diana and Davy Boy there. Owen and Martha have a son as well. Then there's other kids from around, too, because there's cousins of Davy Boy involved. There's a huge, huge, huge wrestling family here. Now, let's see here. There's also, Jesus, great-grandchildren and in-laws this section is. Holy Jesus Christ, there's so much here on this shit. So many people that I'm not even going to get into it. Anyway, Stu Hart, like we said, Crazy Cats, Dungeon. Keep that in mind for later.
Fucked a woman, and 600 people were made because of it.
600 people fell out. That's how it worked. They moved to a giant shoe in Calgary, and we have what we have. So, they said basically that Teddy was raised in the father's gym in Calgary. Basically, he was there. They were everyone was there all the time. Their home was in the back of the building. There was no, that's his backyard was the gym. Basically, is how they put it here. So when they would go to see their grandparents, like in the summer, that would be a big, huge deal because then they got to wrestle and fuck around. They said they formed the KWA, the Kids Wrestling Association, and made belts out of cardboard, which I don't know a group of kids that wouldn't do that if they had access to a wrestling ring in the fucking yard at 8 years old.
Yeah.
Now,
behind the closed doors of government offices and military compounds, there are hidden stories and buried secrets from the darkest corners of history. From covert experiments pushing the boundaries of science to operations so secretive they were barely whispered about. Each week, on Redacted, Declassified Mysteries, we pull back the curtain on these hidden histories. 100% true and verifiable stories that expose the shadowy underbelly of power. Consider Operation Paperclip, where former Nazi scientists were brought to America after World War II, not as prisoners, but as assets to advance U.S. intelligence during the Cold War. These aren't just old conspiracy theories. They're thoroughly investigated accounts that reveal the uncomfortable truths still shaping our world today. The stories are real. The secrets are shocking. Follow Redacted, Declassified Mysteries on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Redacted early and ad-free right now on Wondery Plus.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles,
a big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud,
sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
BJ, the father here, he says, Teddy's father, quote, both my sons were wrestlers from the days of cognition. It was an integral part of their lives. So that makes sense. He says about Teddy, though, quote, he was a genetically engineered third-generation wrestler who was the heir apparent to the Hart Foundation.
Okay.
That's a lot.
That's what Teddy was going to be.
Teddy was the one.
Yeah.
Teddy, out of the next generation of, past Davey and Owen and Brett and all that, the next generation, he was the guy out of everybody as far as talent goes and charisma goes. If you watch him, you go, oh yeah, that guy's got something. But then he'll go backstage and light a cat on fire and throw it at somebody. And you're like, well, you can't do that. He didn't actually do that. Okay. I'm just saying he'd do something crazy like that. He did at one point be caught on film juggling cats, though, which is so bad. It was a joke in The Jerk, remember? Cat juggling, and he's like, ha ha ha, on the film, and he's like, I'll give anything to stop that. That was, he was literally doing that.
Cat juggling. How long did he do that for? How many cats did he throw?
I don't know. They were filming, trying to make a show, and they submitted that to Animal Planet, and on the footage was him juggling cats, and Animal Planet was like, yeah, we're not going to have this guy on.
Oh my God!
You might as well have fucking Joe Exotic on there, right? You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, he shoots tigers.
The Joe Exotic Teddy Hart hour, and then just Teddy Hart moves on to the tiger farm with Joe Exotic.
Teddy Hart moves to the tiger farm, and Joe Exotic is shooting tigers, calling them bitches.
Calling them bitches, and Teddy Hart's like, fuck yeah! Where's this been all my life? Jesus Christ! He would fit right in here. So he says, this is the father, this is BJ, says that Teddy's an incredible athlete. He said that he won provincial awards in hockey, boxing, wrestling, and even badminton. Uh-huh. And when you see him in the ring, I mean, he's an athlete, obviously. Like, the way he jumps around, and the balance he has and shit, like, he's clearly an athlete, obviously. Mm-hmm. They said that also he did gymnastics as well to help with that sort of thing, and did a lot of trampoline work as well. So he's got a lot of great balance and shit. His father says that he once scored a 160 on an IQ test. That's what he said, according to his dad, which is very high. 140 is genius.
But
160 is really high. But, I think there's people that have, 200 that are,
really?
Physicist crazy. I think Stephen Hawking has some crazy high number. And well, yeah, you know what I mean. I'm saying in the book here, in the list, on the list.
Sure.
If this is the asteroid's high score, it doesn't matter who, if the guy's dead, it's still there. He has it.
Yeah.
Still has his record.
Are there. We see him.
That's what I mean. Still, SH is still up there.
Sure is.
Up above the 160 mark. So he claims a 160 IQ. His dad claims that Teddy has one. Also, Teddy, he says, was hyperactive and rambunctious and a big pain in the ass.
Yeah.
He says, quote, he was a bit of a wild child. You really couldn't tell him anything. Which, yeah, that's how hyperactive kids. Yeah. A hyperactive kid that likes to bounce around. And despite of playing 14 sports, too, he was still hyper. That's a lot of hyper. So they said his brother was the one guy who could talk to him, his little brother, because they were kind of, partners in crime, basically Matthew there. And they always dreamed that they were going to be the new Hart Foundation someday. After, if you don't know, though, that was Bret Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart were the original Hart Foundation, and it's kind of a legendary tag team there. So 1995, this is July 1995, in Rockyford, Alberta, Canada here, he teams up with his brother Matthew to have a match.
At 15 years old.
At 15, and his brother's 12.
Wow.
So, just almost 13, so they're really young. They beat their cousin Harry Smith, who is Davey Boy Smith's son, and T.J. Wilson, who is he was in Tyson Kidd, maybe, I think. Mm-hmm. But he made it as a wrestler on one of in WWE. So later on,
brother.
Yeah, no.
Owen and Luke's kid, yeah.
So Luke's young man, the young boy. So 1996, this is right after this, a couple months later, Matthew, the younger brother, who's 13 years old at this time, dies at age 13. No. He dies of necrotizing fasciitis. Fascistus? Wow. Fasciitis.
Was it eyes? You fall asleep and you just die? Is that what that is?
No, it's worse than that. That would be very preferable to what this is. He contracted a progressive bacterial infection causing toxic shock syndrome with associated necrotizing fasciitis.
Can we get the cat shit off the counter now, Grandpa?
Flesh-eating disease. Doctors plan to halt it with multiple amputations, but Matt died in 2 weeks.
They couldn't trim him fast enough.
They couldn't trim it away fast enough. Now, this disease here, also known as flesh-eating disease, it's an infection that results in the death of parts of the body's soft tissue. It's a severe disease of sudden onset that spreads rapidly. Symptoms include red or purple skin in the affected area, severe pain, fever, and vomiting. And it's the most commonly affected areas are the limbs and perineum. So watch your taint, everybody. Yeah. So everyone is going to be...
the gym.
Excessively checking their arms, legs, and taints tonight for anything that could eat their taint away and kill them in 2 weeks here. Apparently, typically the infection enters the body through a break in the skin, such as a cut or a burn. And risk factors are if you have a poor immune function, if you have diabetes, cancer, shit like that, IV drug use, shit that'll fuck up your system, basically.
It's like staph or MRSA.
Except excessively, it eats your flesh.
Right, obviously, right.
Yeah. It's really fast, really fast. It occurs in about 0.4 people per 100,000 in the U.S. and about 1 per 100,000 in Western Europe. So
that's too many.
That's too many. Yeah, that's
what?
That's way too common.
That happens in America
a lot
every year. All
the time. Yeah, 0.4 people out of 100,000. So
way too many.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's wow. That is way more than I thought. Why aren't we all really scared of this? Like
flesh-eating bacteria is 1 in every 200,000 people.
Everybody,
what?
Stop keep your mask on, but get it like a hazmat suit also, and don't go out of your house because apparently flesh-eating bacteria it's knocking on the door. It's most of you are going to die of it. So that seems just like so much. It really does. It sounds very, very frightening. Except not all those people die. Apparently, it's pretty easy to prevent. It can be prevented with wound care and hand washing. Uh-huh. So just wash your shit, basically. If you get a cut, wash it, and wash your shit and wash it.
It's the same, and it's still spreading.
Still, but
nobody washes.
No, that's the thing. It's the people. We're all filthy. Yeah. It's usually treated with surgery to remove infected tissue and then IV antibiotics. They give you penicillin and shit like that. Despite even with good treatment, the risk of death is between 25 and 35% of the 0.4%. So you can say like 0.1% out of 100,000 people. So good luck, everybody. Let's just good luck. Sleep tight.
It's been a fun run.
Just something's going to get you. We'll put it that way. And it affects both sexes equally. So ladies, don't think you're fucking immune to this because it's coming for you just as much. More common among older people because of the fact that their immune systems are less robust and rare in children. So there you go. It's been around for thousands of years also. It's like a really, common thing throughout the years. So they did a tribute show at 16 years old for Teddy Hart. They did a tribute show to his dead brother here. And not the whole show, but they did a tribute and wrestled in the opening match it's a dark match of a World Wrestling Federation, WWE at the time, WWF, house show in Calgary. So dark matches before what you would see like on TV if they taped it and were showing it somewhere. There's always like 2 matches beforehand that no one sees, only the live crowd sees it, just to get the crowd going. That's all they are. They're like the guy who they're like the warm-up comic for a sitcom. Before you see the taping, there's a guy out there going, you ever notice when he came over here on the freeway, this happened and that happened? That's that guy. So kind of what they do with this. It's the way they try people out, too, because if no one gives a shit about these people, so if you can get the crowd to care about your match at all, they're like, oh, look at this guy. He's he's going to be good. So he's 16 years old. He opens here. He teams with his cousin Harry Smith here and versus a couple of guys, one of them being Tyson Kidd, TJ Wilson. And they do that. And they said, this is what he says, Teddy, quote, I know he'd be really happy to see all these people turn out. I'd like to think he's got his cat and his coffee in his lap. I don't know what's up with the cats here, man. This is really... then later on, years down the road, Teddy would say about this whole thing, quote, you don't get a bigger high than that. It's why I love Vince McMahon. He made a bunch of my dreams come true.
I'm sure he did.
Which he did. Here, let's talk about one that he made come true. In 1998, the WWF at the time makes Hart the youngest person ever to be signed to a WWF developmental contract.
Really?
He's 18 years old, and they sign him to a contract here because he's a legacy. It's the same reason they signed The Rock immediately. He's a third-generation guy. They'd hired everyone else in his family. They're going to give him a shot to develop here. So they send him to Dory Funk Jr., who is Terry Funk's older brother, and he was NWA champion. He's a legendary wrestler forever and ever. They send him down there to train. At 18 years old, he's going to fulfill his dream and be in the WWF. Grace is fuck. This is Grace.
Yeah.
This is Grace, because at this point, it really... there's not a lot of high spots for him from now on. And I don't mean that in a wrestling way. I mean that in a life way. Not a lot of high spots or high points. That same year, his best friend committed suicide. He was a high school athlete. They made a big deal out of it locally. Then a couple months after that, Owen Hart fell from the ceiling and, in St. Louis there and died. So that's an issue. That was a big deal. That was his uncle and somebody he really, really looked up to, because he wrestles way more like Owen than anybody else in his family, because Owen was more of a flyer. Now it's considered pedestrian, the shit he was doing, but at the time he was a fucking innovator. He
was jumping out of the rafters, James.
Yeah, but that was that wasn't what I'm talking. I'm talking about in the ring. He was doing a lot of high flying shit, not involving any kind of pulley system or ropes or anything here.
Right.
So he was doing that like he had a real kind of crazy jet, because he wrestled in Japan a lot and that sort of shit. So he looked up to Owen a lot. So apparently that was a big deal as well for him. He'll end up being released from the WWE. He sticks around for about 3-4 years in one capacity or another. But he ends up being released before he ever comes up. He's just in developmental because they said he was a liability. He would sleep late. He'd be late for things just because I slept too late. He said he was always stoned, refused to stop having a cloud of weed around his head at all times. And he would just kind of act out and be an asshole and leave sometimes and act like a real kind of act like he was bigger than the whhole thing.
Took it for granted. This is going to be here always because that's what we do.
That's it. That's what my whole family wrestles. I'll wrestle too. Everyone's been saying how talented I am since I'm 6. In wrestling, most of the time in wrestling, these guys we talk about, it's like they might have played a little high school football or something, but a lot of times they're just kind of fuck ups and they just kind of stumble into it. But someone like this is like a football player who's been told how special he is at quarter. He's like Todd Marinovich, you know what I mean? Since he was a kid, he's just special. Yeah. So He says, this is Teddy, quote, "It was so fucking scary. I had no life experience. I didn't know if I wanted to get up at 5 a.m. for the next 20 years. Well, I mean, you're going to get...
Welcome to the club, motherfucker.
I was going to say, you're going to get up at 5 a.m. for the next 20 years either way. It's just a matter of where you're going to go after you leave the house.
Right.
That's it. That's the only difference.
Where are you going at 6 a.m.? It's different from most people.
Yeah. You're going to go to the next city, whereas most people are going to go to an office. But either way, everyone's up. So, and also he claims that they treated him badly because of all the problems with Bret, because this was after the Montreal screw job with Bret Hart in 1997. Okay. Where Vince screwed him over, and they had the big whatever, and they hated each other for 20 years, and Bret wrote books and talked shit and all that sort of thing. So he thinks that had something to do with it. Meanwhile, he didn't get let go till he got signed after the Montreal screw job, so that makes no sense to say that. Like they brought him in just to mess with him for 4 years. Right. Because they don't, how much shit do we talk about Vince McMahon on this show? I mean, he gets it good. Like he gets it as well. Maybe Dana White gets it worse, but other than that, I don't know anybody who gets it as bad as Vince McMahon. No, Vince is worse because Dana White doesn't have a character where he's telling people to take their fucking shirts off, right, in a lusty voice, telling them to put overalls on. So
maybe it's worse to be Dana White because at least you're caricaturizing.
At least we're making
stupidity that is.
We're making Vince funny and, semi.
Dane's just a cunt.
Yeah, him. I don't want to imitate him. Just sit here and go, yeah. That's the imitation. There, how's that?
Dana's just
I'm sullen. Yeah. Whereas at least Vince will give you a little right. Theater to go with the whole thing. You know what I mean? So... This, that's kind of ridiculous. He's a fuck up. That's why he got released. And I think that'll be cemented over time because he's fired from everywhere he ever works. Wow. The shithole places, the big promotions, small promotions, in between promotions, they all fire him for being a complete dipshit. And that's the rest of the episode here. We'll talk about it. 2001, he has a son. A son is born, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Son with his ex-girlfriend named Kim. And his son he names Bradley after his father.
All right.
So a tribute to his father. That's not very bad. Nice. Very nice. He didn't name him after himself, so thumbs up there. Some point in here he marries a woman named Faye. And that'll fall apart later because he'll have girlfriends and there'll be videos of him with like 2 women. I don't know if one of them's his wife or not, and the women are like making out, and
oh boy,
the whole thing's weird. So I don't know what's going on, but he's married to a woman named Faye for a while. She also was involved in his wrestling career and was like a valet and a wrestler and shit like that. Everybody works in the business, and he takes them into the indie scene with them, and it's all weird. Also around this time period, Davey Boy Smith dies after when his kid is born. His father says of Teddy, quote, "He's lost so many people, I'm surprised he hasn't hung himself. He would have had access," and he said he was happy that Vince McMahon shit-canned him, because he said, quote, "He would have had access to the drugs and lifestyle of that world, and he'd be dead. I'm just glad that he's not." So that's, yeah.
I'm surprised he hasn't hung himself. It's wild. Well, hope he doesn't watch this.
He's lost so many people, I'm surprised that son of a bitch ain't hung himself. I mean, Jesus Christ.
What a fucking horrible thing to say publicly.
I'd blow my brains out if I was him. Teddy, you should blow your brains out. I'm as your dad. I'm just saying. I think maybe it's time. Ridiculous.
Bobby Brown has lost kids and a wife and all kinds of shit.
Oh.
People were like saying that shit about him publicly recently. I don't know how he keeps going every day.
Lust for
What are you talking about?
Lust for crack will keep anyone going. You ever watch Dope Sick Love?
Yeah,
it'll keep you. Think about the lust for crack keeps you going forever. Forever.
It's fascinating that people say that shit about Bobby, and it's like he's still alive. He could read this. Calm down.
Yeah. Don't worry, he wants crack.
He wakes up every day. Shut the fuck up.
He'll be back tomorrow looking for more crack, I'm sure. It's fine. Don't worry about it. So he's surprised his son isn't dead. Interesting. So also, this is a filmmaker who was on and off making a documentary about him later. He says, quote, "I meet wrestlers who can't bear to be in the same room as Ted. he says. But when I ask, would you wrestle him? They say, oh, God, yeah, absolutely. So that's how Teddy is. In the ring, if you look up his shit on YouTube, especially his older stuff, not now because he's insane the last 5 years or so, but look up this shit from around this era. In the ring, there's nothing to really scoff at. The guy, he's a Hart, number one, so he knows what he's doing. He's technically sound. He looks smooth. He's not clumsy. He looks like it's second nature doing what he's doing. And then he's athletic as shit. He does a lot of crazy moves and flips and he's very accurate with stuff. He's really good. Like you look at him and you go, wow. Like I could see at that time period, you go, holy shit, he's going to be a huge star someday if he's just wasn't insane. So, they hate him, don't want to hang out with him, but in the ring, great, no problem.
Sure.
You hear that a lot, actually, with wrestlers. Like, I can't stand the guy, but it's kind of the opposite of comedians. Yeah. Like, comedians, it's like you don't want to work with somebody because that means you have to hang out with them for hours backstage. That's the problem. Whereas these people, I'll work with him, but I don't want to have to, go places with him or travel with him or eat with him or anything because that sounds like a nightmare.
I'll be booked with him in the city that I live, but I don't want to fucking go to Houston with him.
Exactly. I don't, we'll go separately. So he ends up in Ring of Honor wrestling after that, ROH. And so September 20th, 2003, he wrestles for Ring of Honor in Philadelphia, and he defeated TJ Wilson, the guy he's been wrestling with since he was a kid. So it's funny how these guys are always wrestling each other all over the place for the next 15 years. So 2001 here, he wrestles a lot for Ring of Honor. There's one particular night, November 1st, 2003. He's in a Ring of Honor show in Elizabeth, New Jersey. It's called a scramble cage match. And it's like, who knows what the shit was going on in it. Lots of crazy shit in a cage, I assume. So apparently, he loses his part of the match, which was part of the deal. And he just started doing moonsaults and all sorts of crazy shit off the top of the cage rather than acting like he's hurt from the stuff he just got hurt with. Because normally in wrestling, if you get beat, then they beat you up and, hurt a part of you. You land on your head, you fucking do whatever, fuck up your back. And then they pin you, and then you act like that kills you all the way back to the dressing room. Like, oh, Jesus Christ, I'm dying. Like, that's ideally how it's supposed to go.
Yeah,
not always.
Attention, I'm going to go get it.
Oh, God, look at me. Or you just, even the little limp, oh, he's been fucking with my knee the whole match. You're supposed to sell what was happening to suspend disbelief. You don't just hop up, all right then, good job, and then strut back to the ring. It's like, well, that was a waste. So he just pops up and starts doing moonsaults and shit off the top of the cage, which is just, not what he's supposed to do, apparently. Then he throws up at ringside.
That's awesome.
All over the place.
Yeah.
Now, apparently, this pissed off pretty much everybody in the promotion.
Yeah.
that he was
gross.
That he was fucking around. They said he endangered some people because he was just flying through the air, landing on people without them knowing it was coming. That's shit they really have to plan out. You can't just look up and be like, oh shit, dude's coming, and try to anticipate it and do the, you have to know what you're supposed to do. It's
the fall has to be.
It's a dance.
Right. It's not just selling that at that point. It's selling it safely.
Yeah. You can't just walk up to someone and dip them involuntarily in a dance.
Yeah.
They'd be like, Jesus, you'd fall on their fucking head. They need to know it's coming so they can put their weight the right way.
Now I got to go to a chiropractor, you fucking jerk.
Otherwise, they're just going to try to get away from you and fling themselves on the ground. What are you doing to me? So, anyway, they're all pissed off at him. Now, I will say, he says that he had got a concussion during the match and doesn't even remember any of this shit, which is, he threw up at ringside.
That might be right. That might be why he's throwing up.
They don't know if basically he was on drugs, he was just a fucking asshole, or if he had a legitimate concussion and was a fucking stunad and didn't know what he was doing, which... I mean, I don't know. I kind of if someone says they had a concussion in a thing like that, I might give them the benefit of the doubt on that. But I don't know. Apparently not, because they got super pissed off. Apparently, even after guys tried to hang on to him, like, hey, let's not do that. Let's not jump off the top of the cage and stuff. He would break away from him and climb up the cage like a psychopath. So what happens is it was so bad that once he got in the backstage area, the people running the promotion had to pretty much quell a lynching of him, basically, by the entire roster that wanted to kick the living shit out of him for, for doing this, so they had to basically throw him out of the dressing room and kick him off the premises to keep him from getting his ass kicked by a group of villagers with pitchforks and torches, essentially. So Conan, who, remember Conan from WCW? He was a bald guy. He kind of had like a, kind of like West Coast kind of gangster kind of a character at the time. Okay. He'd be like, "Hey, everybody!" He'd have like a real like put on, like I'm Paul Rodriguez and born in East LA. Like he'd really put on a really heavy, like.
And that was Conan.
That was Conan, yeah. But Conan, he's like a legend in Mexico as a wrestler. Okay. He's a huge legend down there, and he's in charge and has a big say, and not in charge of, but has a big say in the promotions down there, and always has. Okay. So apparently Conan was here also, and he says, quote, "You've really got to have a lot of heat to have for this to happen." They kicked him out of the dressing room and threw his luggage out. They just tossed him like he's a drunk from a bar. Fucking, yeah. Conan says he has more charisma than just about any three guys you can put together. He looks like a star. He acts like a star. He's an incredible wrestler. The fans love him. So, yeah, but then later on, he'll make a fool of him. Conan will say, "He made me look bad because I believed in him." So that'll come later on. Now, CM Punk, who was a big deal very recently in the WWE and everything here, he was in ROH at the time and made a big deal out of this and, kind of talked a lot of shit here. He said, quote, "The business is dangerous enough. You put some of the boys in a really horrible, potentially dangerous position, and then you cry about being blackballed. You whine about not being able to compete on an equal level, and truthfully, that's nobody's fault but your own. Learn some etiquette." So that's just interesting to say to a guy who, his family kind of, one thing he would know would be etiquette. He's clearly
he's been trained in it since birth at what wrestling etiquette is.
He's probably either willfully ignoring it or doesn't care. That's probably the thing. But learning it, he doesn't have to do. So
CM Punk is mad respected in wrestling now.
Oh, he is. He was always. He always was. He's known as a really good wrestler. That's why. So apparently later on, this came to a head in Nashville when they were at a TNA weekly pay-per-view back in the day before they had a television show. And Teddy ran into CM Punk, rightfully at the White Trash Cafe, which seems like the perfect place for this meeting, if I'm being honest here. Sabu was there also. Do you know who Sabu is? Crazy fucking, Sabu's
giant
great.
Guy.
No, he's a smaller guy, but he's insane. Wait, he does barbed wire matches and... Sabu, he was an ECW guy. He's fucking incredible. Does crazy shit.
Know who he is.
He's insane. He's the most scarred guy.
When I said he was big.
Yeah, he's not big. He's 210 pounds probably.
Who am I thinking of? That's the giant guy that was like an islander that sounds like that.
Haku. He wasn't giant either, but he was a tough son of a bitch. But he was still bigger than Sabu. Okay. So anyway, They were all there. Apparently, this is from Teddy's point of view here. Teddy said he went to the White Trash Cafe because he was drawn to it like a beacon in the sky. That's how that works.
Because it is my flame to my moth.
That's what it was. Yeah, that was the fucking heart signal. He just, they have cats there. Too many cats. He said he told Punk to wipe the smile off his face and to meet him outside to fight him like a man. That's what he said. You meet me outside. He says that once they got outside, that obviously he had to take off, and this article talks about it. He was talking about it in a shoot interview, and he said he had to take off his earrings and his $30,000 necklace and all that stuff. He has to make sure he's a hot shot.
He's doing that at the White Trash Cafe.
Yes, exactly. Teddy then said that CM Punk slapped him in the face, and he said, quote, "A bitch can slap, but I'm not a bitch." Which I don't know what that means exactly. I think a slap in the face should be followed with a punch to the nose, right? If you're fighting, I'm saying. Right. If you're fighting a man, if you say, "Meet me outside, other man, because we're going to settle this like men," and he slaps you, you're like, "Oh, the fight started, okay," and then you got to catch back up again.
So it's begun, and I need to raise the ante. I feel you.
Yeah, we started. Let me close my fist on you there.
Right. Ante up is what you just said.
Yeah. So then he said that it was a weak slap and Punk should hit the gym because Punk is not a big guy. No. He's kind of a skinny little guy. He said, you should do that. And they went back and forth. And then they ended up kind of wrestling around. And Sabu ends up pulling them apart, basically breaking them up. On the
streets of Nashville.
On the streets outside the White Trash Cafe, which seems like the perfect place for this argument.
Right.
They should set up ropes around that and just have people hash out their trashery out in front of there. I think it's fine.
Lenny Dykstra is finding his teeth in the dumpster out back.
I kind of pictured him with a giant, like a circus master top hat on and a microphone saying,
like a ringmaster
come on,
with a whip.
Yeah. Well, come on, everybody. White trash fights on the street. White trash fights.
He drags a wrestling clown by a leash.
Winner gets to help me find my teeth. White trash fights. Oh, Jesus Christ. So, yeah. Teddy still demands an apology from CM Punk, and that's how that is. So
he's not getting it.
I think it's probably over by now. I don't think he's getting it. Yeah, probably not. So then this is when he's in TNA. He goes to TNA and it's hard to talk. He's in like a bunch of promotions that I didn't follow this shit, so it's hard to. There might have been good shit. I mean, ROH at this time I know is considered amazing. A lot of great
early
matches.
2000s?
Yeah, or to mid 2000s, even up, for years after that. It was considered really good wrestling and shit like that. TNA was fucking unwatchable at this point. Yeah. When they first came around, that shit was terrible. It just wasn't good. It never even got good in years, but I mean, it was really bad back then. And so he's involved in that kind of shit. He also ends up in Major League Wrestling, MLW, which he'll come back and forth to a million times here. That's in New Rochelle, New York now. Apparently it used to be in Philly. All the indies used to be in Philly because ECW was there. So, and Philly has a very rabid, like, kind of underground wrestling fan base.
Yeah, if it's grimy, Philly loves it.
Yeah, if you've ever seen old ECW shows in the bingo hall there and with no air conditioning in August in Philly. And
Philly's such an awesome city. For entertainment, they eat everything up.
I fucking love Philly. We love going to Philly. I love it there. I just love the people there, man. Philly is cool as shit. You know right where you stand in Philly, and I dig it.
Yeah.
I like it. I like how
they let you know, and that whole brotherly love is bullshit. They don't. I mean, in terms of be around, but don't be in my life.
Don't be my actual brother, but be like, in like a abstract sense, like we're all people.
It's a nice looking dog.
Stay
Get
the fuck away from
my dog.
I like the fact that when Philly at a show, if somebody says something, because a lot of times at shows, it's not a heckle. Somebody will try to say something helpful. Right. They'll shout something out that doesn't help at all, mind you. It never does. Unless we go, hey, what is that thing? And we're asking you to shout. Otherwise, you're just fucking up the rhythm, even if you're trying to be. But we understand. It's just.
I said I love you, James.
Yeah. But you take anything they try to say as a compliment because they were listening and they felt like they were in the conversation with us. So they feel like they're just interjecting. So I don't. In most places, you're like, oh, okay. And you make a joke and you try to softly tell them to shut the fuck up.
This town in Oklahoma is 30 minutes from Tulsa. I've been there. Shut the fuck up.
Whereas we have to go, hey, that's terrific. No one cares where you've been and blah, 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 but make it a joke. Whereas in Philly, and then they're like offended still, even though you said it nice. In Philly, they're like, we love you. And you're like, shut the fuck up. And they're like, sorry, you're right. My bad.
Oh, they bought tickets too. You're right. I should shut up.
Or even better, you say, shut the fuck up. And they go, fuck yeah. And they clap. They're like, I love this place.
Tell her, James.
Tell me. Thank you for yelling at me. That was great. You're right. I should have shut the fuck up. I don't know what I'm thinking. But they can take that in Philly and they love it. They're like, yeah, you're right. I should have shut the fuck up. Whereas other places are so sensitive. They can't deal with that at all.
Calm down with your sensitivity.
Yeah, if we're yelling at you for messing a show up, you should be like, oh, yeah, I shouldn't have messed the show up. So this, Jesus Christ. So anyway, MLW's been around for a long time, and he is in it all over the place. They formed the Hart Foundation 2.0 during this, and the new Hart Foundation. It's never good when something's the new in wrestling, the new or 2.0.
No.
Yeah, see the new rockers in the late 90s. Doesn't work very well. Any wrestling fans would know. Now, Jimmy, I have to turn the monitor towards you to show you this.
Let's have a look.
This is a picture of Teddy Hart in the ring. Now, do you notice anything in this picture? That's
there's
interesting.
a man behind him that looks exactly like me.
You found him. You fucking found him. That's the only reason
it's
I'm
like
showing
looking in
you
the
this
fucking
picture.
mirror.
He looks Jimmy, are you there? Did you go to the show?
It sure appears that way.
Did you sit next to a man with a Blackhawk shirt and a short Asian man, right? Like five rows back from the ring?
How the fuck did that poor bastard get my face?
I will post that on social media as part of this. That'll be one of the things, because you really need to see how remarkable it is that this
people
man
post
is sitting.
pictures constantly about this guy looks like you. That guy fucking looks like me.
There's a million pictures of Teddy Hart, and I saw that in the crowd. I was like, "Is that Jimmie?" And I clicked on it. I was like, "This looks holy shit! He needs to see this.
Close.
This is disturbing. It's the most like anyone I've ever seen, especially right now, because his beard and your beard are identical. It's disturbing." So,
I know my face. I'll give me that.
You do. His glasses are exactly the same.
Just me.
You didn't even have to. What was that? Half a second? You know, say anything. Well, there's a man behind him. He looked. Well, it helps too that he's directly over Teddy Hart's head.
Right. He's right
there. You can't miss him.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this white Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles,
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit,
At the time, I was paranoid.
threats,
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
and murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.
So 2005, he returns to the WWE again briefly. So they're kind of testing him out. He makes several appearances working in dark matches, which we talked about before. He's beat by his cousin Harry Smith in a couple. He works on one of their shit shows, Velocity, which was one of their, I don't know what night, one of their non-SmackDown or Raw shows, basically. And he loses a match there too, just, kind of being a jobber. In 2006, he and several of his relatives attended the induction of Brett into the WWE Hall of Fame.
Oh, great.
So they were all there. So he then tried to tries to get a development deal with WWE, and they sign him to a development deal at this point. And they assign him to Florida Championship Wrestling, which is their developmental facility down there. He does some shit for Ohio Valley Wrestling also. He faced John Cena at Six Flags Kentucky Kingdom.
Oh, boy.
So there's that. 2006, I believe. Yeah, July of 2006. Holy shit. An outdoor show in Kentucky in late July. Oh, boy, is that sticky.
Yeah.
Yikes. You are going to have
John Cena.
Against John Cena
that
with
guy
his
works
jean shorts.
hard.
Yeah, at the time with his jean shorts. I think now Has he gone to cargo now? I don't know.
I don't know.
What's
Rolled
going
up
on
sleeves. Very strange looking man.
Yeah, it's an odd choice.
Let's do that.
But I don't. Yeah, it's a strange, and like cross trainers back in the day.
Yeah.
Like, what are you wearing?
This is this outfit.
He just looks like he looked like a frat guy who got like they bought 8 doses of steroids for like the whole like upper class of the frat, and he jacked it all into himself, and he's like, I'm the biggest frat guy ever. That's what it looks like. Look at me, and they're all like, oh my God.
He was so clean and handsome all the time.
I don't know what's going on with him.
He wasn't. There was nothing intimidating about him. Like that's always going to be a good guy.
Yeah, he's always smiley and
yeah.
Except that he did try to rap earlier on in his career.
That's not good.
Why
would he do that?
It didn't make him like a bad guy, but it made you want to punch him. So there's that. You know, I don't know if that was what they were going for, though. I think they were trying to endear him to you with the rapping.
I wish he would have just been an actor because he's fucking hilarious.
He is a funny actor.
He is so funny.
But is he funny because he's him? You know what I mean?
Maybe.
And so you know what I'm saying?
I don't know. In that Amy Schumer movie where he told her to flip over because she looked like a boy.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. No, so
he sold that fucking part so well, being a creep.
He's got good timing.
He's so funny.
So by the end of I think 2007, he gets fired again he gets fired again, and this is for, they said it basically it's the same shit he got fired for the first time. He says it's retaliation following Brett's tell-all book, in which Hitman calls Vince McMahon the Grim Reaper of wrestling. Oh. So he says that's what it was, but he's the only one of his family who got fired because like everyone else works there.
Yeah.
So, you know, all of his cousins, it's just him.
He's the scapegoat for the whole family, always?
Yeah, they said, you know, I just wanted to trash me and let everyone else skate. I get it. Right. I get it. He is on that Wrestling Society X in 2006, 2007. Remember that on MTV?
No.
It was really weird. It was shot weird. It was like dark, but it was called...
Did they pull that shit because of the UFC fight show getting great things?
I don't know. It premiered in January 2007.
Had to be then. Because the UFC house was like, that was like 04 to 06 or something?
Yeah, I remember this, but I don't remember if it was like, I don't think it was like that. It wasn't like UFC house, like it was like an actual wrestling show.
Oh.
It was just, that was the name of the promotion,
MTV.
was Wrestling Society X. Yeah.
Huh.
It was just this weird, they filmed it different. It was dark. It might have had other shit on it, but I don't remember that. I just remember seeing it. And so, I don't know, he's on that. And basically, they ceased operations after their 5th show, and then the show was canceled, and that was
not
that.
5th season.
That's no 5th show.
5th show.
So that was that. He goes to Jersey. What is it? Jersey Wrestling here, Jersey All Pro Wrestling here, because he was there in 2004 and went on and off till 2007. So he goes back there in 2008 and late 2007. He also now goes to AAA in Mexico. And this is AAA in Mexico. This is huge down there.
Yeah.
Mexico has never, wrestling kind of wanes and then gets popular, and then you know, popularity wanes.
Ebbs
here.
and flows. Yeah.
Ebbs and flows. Here, Mexico and Japan, it doesn't ebb or flow. It's just, it's like football is in the US. It's just
constant.
It's their popular thing that they do. So and it's a big deal. I mean, Mexico, there's all sorts of traditions, and the guys with the masks, and you know, all sorts of shit. Like people don't know who they are. They still to this day, they keep their identity secret and shit. It's crazy.
I love that.
It's fucking awesome. That's cool as shit, right? Yeah, I think it's cool too. So I didn't want to be a dork about it, but I think it's fucking cool.
They should do that.
So yeah, they do. He was a heel down there. In 2010, he's suspended indefinitely, and then he comes back. We'll find out more about that. He has a match in 2009 with ROH again. They let him back in after his cage thing. He's just one match. Also in 2009, they're shooting a documentary called A Heart Still Pounding. It was originally called Ted Hart's Truth and Reality, but it was almost shut down because they had problems working with him. So instead, they just renamed it A Heart Still Pounding and made it not from his point of view and made it from however they wanted to tell it. So he was being a dick. Which is, well, you don't fuck with people who you sign a release to your whatever you filmed with.
Just do your job.
So Mexico again in 2010. He's fired quickly there, rehired later on, fired again. He's fired and rehired for Mexico all the time. 2012, when he goes back, he has a pretty decent run down there, actually, for a little bit anyway. Not a decent run, but he competes at Triple Mania 20, which I think is their WrestleMania. Triple Mania. I don't know. They had 20,000 people there. So, wow. Yeah, pretty wild. So he participates in all of that. He's fired from Mexico again, obviously. One of the guys down there, Conan, we'll just talk about Conan again. He says that he'd show up late for work. He said, quote, he'd go into business for himself, which means they'd have something, if you don't know, in wrestling. Go into business for yourself would be like if me and Jimmie were doing this and Jimmie just was like, hey, let me tell you about my dog, and like did 20 minutes on his dog.
In the middle of the show.
That had nothing to do with the show. A dog never came up. Yeah. It's just, that would be going into business for himself. Like, fuck the show. I need to make this about me.
Yeah.
That would be, so in wrestling terms, obviously they have a plan and he decides to try to make himself look better, even though that's not the fucking plan.
Okay.
So that would be crazy. Anyway, he gets fired, so he goes into business for himself. He would leave in the middle of a match. He was smoking pot everywhere. just everywhere. He always had chicks around him, but they didn't know what they were doing, so he was bringing untrained amateurs into a professional setting. He'd bring cats backstage with the litter box, and it's like, bro, what the fuck?
No. Don't do that.
Yeah, the wrestling locker room's kind of it's a private environment. It's the green room in comedy. It's the same thing. Let people in there to disrespect it, and you know what I'm saying? It's a sanctuary.
Bring your cat in its litter box.
He brings a bunch of untrained people too. Like he'll bring an entourage of women because he wants to fuck some girls. So he'll be like, "Hey, you can be in the wrestling show," and they're like, "Oh, really?" And then they fuck up the show, but he gets to bang them because they went out in front of people. And he'll bring like cats and all this shit. And people are just trying to get along and do their work here. This is ridiculous.
I'm bringing gerbils on the roads this summer.
You shouldn't. You really should. So according to Teddy, his cat, his favorite cat, Mr. Money, as he called him, is an emotional support animal that was licensed to him after a psychiatric evaluation. He also breeds Persian cats and sells weed also at the same time during this. That's what, according to him. He says that the last few years he's made more income from those endeavors than from wrestling.
Yeah.
So would you like to see him with his cat?
Oh, I can't wait.
Here you go.
It's a Persian?
To you.
He loves those.
Yeah.
The flat-faced, ugly ones. Is that an actual tattoo on his chin?
No. It's just he's got his goatee shaved into like scratches. Basically.
That's a goatee.
Yeah. That's his facial hair that he
planned
shaved.
out facial hair.
Yeah, that
Jail
he shaved
bars.
into they're scratches. That's what he says they are. Like a cat.
Cat scratches.
Because he's a cat person. I guess that's the $30,000 necklace he had to take off to slap CM Punk or to fight CM Punk because it's got diamonds all over it. Don't know if
is that cat expensive?
Apparently, but we'll talk about his cats because there's this one book about. It's a strange book about the. He's got a girlfriend we'll talk about that goes missing, and there's a book about it, but they don't really talk about the girlfriend that goes missing. They just bring up a bunch of weird shit, and one of the weird shit they bring up is about his cats. And they said that he, quote, he often attains entry into public venues, hotels, and airplanes with his living merchandise, this being the cat. Because he breeds and sells these cats. That's what he's doing. He alleges that he possesses a letter from a professional asserting that they are service animals. This claim saves him money on round-trip flights on which charges for a companion or commodity animals in the U.S. could command $400 per kennel and may also require advanced reservations along with time-consuming usage of the cargo hold rather than the passenger cabin. According to the Americans with Disabilities Act and Florida state laws, public facilities and transportation carriers are required to accommodate only certified disability service animals. Such animals are trained to perform specific necessary tasks for a person with a documented disability. On the face of it, Teddy and his cats do not meet this standard. Similarly, there are suspicions that he does not qualify for the disabled parking permit that he uses. They're really
getting
getting
handicap. What?
They're getting in deep on it. I mean, he does moonsaults off the top rope. The Americans with Disabilities Act and Florida state laws do not necessarily require public venues, hotels, and transportation carriers to accommodate emotional support animals. Deliberate mislabeling or overstatement of a companion animal or emotional support animal as a disability service animal is a second-degree misdemeanor in the state of Florida.
Wow.
So,
misrepresentation of your animal will get you a ticket.
Florida, if you see some fucking asshole walking around pretending like their fucking pet is a service animal when they're not, guess what you can do? Don't, because you should never call the cops on anybody, but you at least have that in your pocket. Tell them it's Florida Statute 413.08. Just say, you're breaking Florida Statute 413.08, and you tell them what I just told you.
Your bullshit animal.
Yeah, they'll be like, oh my God. So they say that he is not in possession of the required licenses in Florida to breed and house large numbers of animals at his residence. This means that there's nothing official to quantify the percentage of his kittens that are healthy and survive to the point of sale. They also said that his cats are often described as Persian, but it does not appear that they're registered or certified as such by the global accrediting body, the Cat Fanciers Association. That's the global accrediting body, by the way. The Cat Fanciers Association. I just switched sides. I was totally on their side, and then I heard they're the Cat Fanciers Association. I went, you know what? Fuck them. Breed all the... No, I don't want you to breed all the Persians you want, but can we get a better, more official name than that? That doesn't sound like a body who has any authority, right. Does it?
What is the dog one?
Who the fuck knows? The goddamn the dog Waggy for Pups Association? I don't know. The Cat Fanciers Association? Are you shitting me?
Oh, Christ.
That's the licensed global accrediting body. No.
What are the papers that you get for dogs? There's an organization. It's not like that. It sounds so much more.
It's the AKC. Isn't it like the American Kennel Club or some shit? It's not the Cat Fanciers Association. That shows you how much less people give a shit about the breed of a cat.
Right.
They give you like something printed out on dot matrix paper that you have to get the perforated edges off of it when they print it out for you. It's one of those big long ones. Meanwhile,
Cat Fanciers. Sounds like people that fuck cats.
That sounds like a magazine for cat fuckers.
Yes, it does.
It has like ads in the back for people putting their cats up for fuckings. It's disgusting. Jesus
Salmon
Christ.
Flavored rubbers.
Yeah, all sorts of cat fucking paraphernalia. All sorts of sexy cat garb.
Salmon oil, lube.
They say here, if this is the case, consumers who believe they're purchasing a costly purebred from him may be somewhat misguided. Oh, yeah. Jesus Christ, poor thing. Not the cat.
You're that far involved with cats. You're the one that's misguided.
Yeah, that you give a shit. Have you ever cared what breed of cat you
Never.
had?
I've never looked at somebody's cat.
How rich do you have to be? Like every
I've looked
cat
at cats
I've ever
and went,
had,
oh, look at that, a black one.
It's a black one. Or I like those orange ones. Or it's one with really long hair or one with not really long hair. That's all. Those are the cats you have. And it's whatever you kind of find and whatever you pick. Someone has kittens, they got to get rid of them. I'll take one, whatever. One comes around your house and never leaves or some shit, but you don't go on.
The furthest involved with cats I've ever gotten is all calicos are females. If you know anything more than that, you're a fucking weirdo.
It's that's all.
Fancier.
You're a fancier. You license the fucking lube. How do you like that?
Stop fancying cats, you creep.
Fucking disgusting people with their cat fancies. I'm a cat fancier, really. There's people that go home at night and that's their job. Yeah. They're like, I'm part of the Cat Fanciers Association. That's what I do. We have to make sure all the cats are official. Like, I check their buttholes just to make sure. You could see in their buttholes how many rings they have in it if they're official or not. It's like a tree trunk, but more gross. Wrinkles. More gross.
Count the anal glands.
That's it.
Good God.
So after this, he returns to Canada, where he does what most people do when they're taking a hiatus from wrestling. They commercially breed Persian cats, quote-unquote Persian cats.
Yeah, right.
And work as a security driver for escorts as well.
Oh, my God.
So that's what he does because, he's 200-pound guy. He's a tough guy,
That is a sweet gig.
He can moonsault off the top of the car and can land on somebody. His job
200.
Yeah, but how would you? I just feel I don't know. His job was to wait outside until the woman inside texted him and said that she was ready to come out.
It's time to go. Yeah.
He'd knock twice on the door and wait for her to leave, and then that was that. So he meets a couple of women that he will later get involved with and have some problems with later on as well.
Oh, my God.
And we'll talk about them in a moment. He talks about this on the Colt Cabana podcast, which is an interesting podcast. Good stuff there.
Great.
Colt's a good dude. Teddy claims that his wife ran the escort service. That's what he says. His wife ran it. He says that, he says he doesn't bring escorts to his shows. He said, quote, "No, dude, these are girls like bartender, mother of 3. I owned an escort agency with another woman." Here he says that the escorts were managed with a phone, and his wife was eventually fined because 2 of the girls didn't have a proper license. So due to this, his wife got into financial trouble, and to get out, she became a high-end escort, is what he says.
To get out?
To get out of the problems of money, and then he claims that he went along on some couples calls.
Yeah.
I don't know if that means him and his wife are going to bang someone together.
I don't know.
Or the couple's going to bang his wife and he's going to watch her. I don't know what the fuck's going to happen there. This is creepy.
Fascinating.
This is a different world. We'll put it that way.
To get out of coke, James, to get out of the coke game, I became a coke addict.
To get out of the coke game, I began to sell heroin heavy. It's the only way out. He says that he had an $800,000 mansion and he brought 4 girls in to service clients. So that's what he said. So that's what they were doing. Also, he's on the independent circus. He's a circus. Might as well be a circus, but
same thing.
He's on the indie circuit, wrestling around for all sorts of different ACW and Dragon Gate USA. What is this one? Inspire Pro Pure Prestige. No,
sounds like
it's too
water.
many P's. Yeah, that's bad water is what that sounds like, where they tried to put vitamins in it. It tastes like metal. It sounds like shit. I'm not drinking your water. So December 3rd, 2014, he is a warrant is issued for him by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
Oh, no.
For facing 1 count each of sexual assault and unlawful confinement, as well as 3 counts of assault. The charges apparently stem from incidents that took place in Edmonton between 2013 and 2014 involving 2 women ages 24 and 40. These are 2 women that he met that he would drive. They were escorts that he met.
Sure. Yeah.
At one point, when they were looking for him, now he was in the United States and they couldn't find him. They're trying to arrest him and he's out of the country.
Right.
His mother, Georgia, says that he had relationships with the 2 women and that she had met them both in the past and she knows about them and she doesn't get this. And she denied that he's evading authorities. She said, quote, "He wasn't hiding or anything. He's in Texas wrestling." Duh. Yeah. Go to Texas if you need him. She says that the charges are a total surprise and she believes her son is, of course, innocent, obviously. She said, quote, "It's not all black and white."
No,
not at all.
What is it?
I don't know. Whatever color a cat's butthole is, I guess. You add a little of that in there.
Sometimes it's calico.
Yeah, it's a calico or cat's butthole pink, one of the 2. So they said that the charges here in Canada, it's kind of harder to get charges there unless you're like, they're not publicized right away like here. It's a little bit different the way it works out. The women, they alleged multiple instances where he threatened to kill their pets and or family members, which is very aggressive.
Yeah. And also very personal. You're getting real, your pets.
I'm going to kill your mom and your hamster is very personal. Like, that's a lot. Like, Fluffy's going to die and tell your mom to watch it is a lot to lay on somebody, I feel like.
It's very personal. Like Bill Burr bit, "I'll beat your mom to death with the family dog."
Yeah, that's pretty much what he threatened, honestly. That's kind of what he was doing, killing their pets and family members, physically and sexually assaulting them, and confiscating their IDs and their phones.
Okay.
So that's what he's accused of. They say he filmed sexual acts to blackmail them. One of the women says that she wasn't a sex worker until Teddy pimped her out and that he drained her of $229,000 in a matter of months, mostly for weed and cat food. That's what he spends his money on.
Food?
He has 40 Persian cats around this time. So I don't know what it seems like you can't spend $229,000 in months on cat food and weed. That's a lot of weed and cat food. Is that what she said? In a matter of months. I don't know how many months. Could be 9 months. I guess you could spend
36 months.
Yeah, she just put it into months. I mean, that could go on forever. It could still be happening.
An annoying suburban mother aging her kid in months.
Yeah, in weeks.
Yeah.
He's 112 weeks. Thanks. So July 22nd, 2015, this is months later, he turns himself in here, finally. He maintains the charges are false. He calls them revenge for money they've lost through his marijuana operations. He said, hey, they invested in a weed business that didn't quite work out. That's their fucking problem there. Sorry. I don't know what to tell you. He was being called a fugitive. He just ignored the charges, but then it was hard for him when he was doing wrestling bookings because they were like, hey, I read you're a fugitive. Like, what's up with that?
What is that?
I don't want to book you because like the cops will come and like take you before your match, and then I don't know what I'm going to put on. So you're a risk. He said, no, he's fine. It's all good. About this, he says, there's an interview where he talks about this whole thing. And he talks about owning 40 cats. And he says he makes more money selling them than wrestling. He says that at one point when he was in Canada here, that the WWE helped get him out of a federal prison in Canada by claiming they can give him psychiatric help in the United States, where he ended up going to rehab with Scott Hall, by the way, which is interesting. So our crime and sports worlds are always crossing here. Hart said that Danny Spivey, who, I don't know if you remember, you probably don't remember Danny Spivey. He was an early 90s wrestler, real tall guy. He didn't work out in the WWF like in 1986, 85-ish, because he looked like Hulk Hogan with less muscles and more hair.
Oh,
and,
no.
He was tall and he even wore yellow. It just didn't work out. So
why would you?
Yeah, and then he's a different kind of a guy, but he says that Dan Spivey works with the WWE as a liaison that picks up junkies in a limousine. That's the way Teddy put it. He said he came through and brought him to rehab. He said if you call the WWE and say you're needing psychiatric help, they send Spivey to assess you, and if you end up being too fucked up and you might embarrass the company, then they'll put you in rehab. That's the way Teddy puts it. Okay. Which kind of sounds accurate there.
So Spivey's like a junkie appraiser.
Yeah, that's kind of what he is. He looks at you and he goes, he'll be all right for a while more. He's got a couple more months left in him.
Like an insurance adjuster who sees how much longevity you have in the drugs.
Yeah, he just wants to see how much damage the tornado did, and he was like, you know what? You don't need a new roof.
You're going to be all right.
You just need a few shingles. We're not giving you a new roof. Just a couple of shingles. I'm sorry. Yeah. You could do the work yourself. He said, Teddy here says that he asked for rehab with the WWE once, as he smokes 2 ounces of weed a day, which, you know what, that's not really possible.
That's a lot of weed.
You'd have to have huge joints that were going all the time.
Right.
Basically. Either
you're
you'd have to smoke
joints off of joints.
Yeah, you'd have to have giant, because a 1 gram, like, the pre-rolls, like at the dispensaries, those are a gram. Right. That's a gram. So 28 grams in an ounce. That's a lot. Times 2.
He's smoking 50 joints a day?
56 of those a day, he says he's smoking. That's a lot of weed, is what I'm getting at. I don't know how. Yeah, if you're going anywhere, doing anything, you can't be doing that all the time. So he says that he was told that they don't put anyone in rehab for that. It's like, we're not putting you in rehab for that, is what he says, but I don't know if that's true. He then talks about jail, and a lot of this is pretty offensive, and I'll try to go around some of the shit he's saying, but some of it I kind of have to say what he's saying because it's crazy. He talks about jail. He said instead of fighting guys, you can do stuff that they can't do and impress them. He said he would do handstand push-ups and standing backflips, and people would think he was cool, basically.
And they wouldn't want to fight him.
And they wouldn't want to beat him up. So he says that he talks about going over to the psychiatric ward in the prison. He said a friend bragged how you could sign up to use a bath for a few hours at a time. And he said, and this is him, not fucking me. So please, this is Teddy Hart speaking, quote, if you pretend to act retarded and stupid, you can get in. So he did that and he was transferred. That's what he said. So
to somewhere else?
He said that he, quote, entertained the retards. As he put it.
Oh, my God.
He's a nice guy. With handstands while, and did shit like that. He said he bribed people with cookies. And he said,
got a grandma here for you.
Yeah, that's what he would do. He said that he was friends with the guards and all this type of shit. And he also talks about, he always wears pajama pants. That's what he's wearing all the time. And he says he always wears those and doesn't own a pair of jeans.
Well, what do you do when you got to go somewhere?
Right? You wear pajama pants and carry a cat and look like a fucking maniac.
Oh my God.
He's got 5 cats. It doesn't matter what pants he's got on. If you're carrying a cat under each arm, it's hard to look down past the cat. This was in the High Spot shoot interview from I think 2015 or so. And then he talked about how his ex-girlfriend or his ex-wife and his girlfriend lived with him at the same time.
Oh, God.
And that was weird as fuck. So, Jesus, back to wrestling here. He ends up going to Nova Pro Wrestling. 2016, he goes for Canadian Wrestling's Elite Wrestling. He says, quote, I've lost everything I've had, but I've rediscovered myself as a wrestler. I didn't love wrestling anymore. It was too easy making $800 a night driving girls around and not having to climb to the top ropes and wear the boots for $200. I don't want to do anything. I don't want anything to do with that lifestyle anymore, which is why I went to Dallas in the first place. Because he moves to Dallas to recommit himself to wrestling and stop, slinging escorts, basically.
Yeah, but the American dream is to do less and make more. So if all you got to do is drive some girls around and not have to jump the top ropes, I can.
No, Jimmy,
I can get down with that.
This is the morally pure path.
Morally pure.
This is the path that a cat can look up to.
Yeah.
And say, that's who I want to be like. So now this Rolling Stone article, they said a typical minute of Teddy Hart tape sounds like this. And they have a quote of a Teddy Hart minute of this. Now, this has to be in their own words because it's fucking crazy. Let's do, it has to be. In their own words, quote, God has put me through some funny stuff because he's given me some unbelievable gifts. My luck has been tremendous. My health has been tremendous. Never been injured wrestling in all these years. When all the guys said my career would be done, the fastest of anyone who stepped in the ring because of me, or because of the crazy stuff I do, especially a third-generation wrestler with a last name, I don't have to do fuck all, but my moves are a testament to my religion and God. You guys don't live a clean life, and that's why you've got knee braces on, because you sucked a guy's dick for a job. I only get on my knees for God and maybe to lick a girl's pussy. which could be possibly a scummy award for In Their Own Words of the Year, which is going to be a new category next year. And In Their Own Words line of the year, I only get on my knees for God and maybe to lick a girl's pussy, ranks up there pretty high with insane shit that anyone's ever said on our show.
Especially with the other part of you wear knee pads because you suck dicks.
Because you suck dicks to get a job, because blah, blah, blah. But not me. But then he said, the only reason for him is because of his last name. So it's but then he says he works hard anyway.
Right.
Because he doesn't need to get on his knees because of his last name. So the whole thing doesn't matter.
Unless a girl wants me to eat a pussy. I'll do that.
Then we'll do that. Now, while he's doing this interview, next to him is a girlfriend / mentee, basically, somebody that he's trying to mentor into the wrestling business, named Samantha Fiddler, Sam Fiddler. And she's his wrestling student and all that sort of shit. In the Rolling Stone article, they say she, quote, rests sleepily in a double XL purple full fur robe, one of the many outlandish wrestling costumes her mentor cum boyfriend has at hand. The mother of 3 has just put her kids to bed after filming scenes for a pair of documentary filmmakers following Teddy. So he's got this woman who's got 3 kids.
Right.
And she goes with him down to Dallas and to Florida from Canada. So
and he's got a wife.
Sam Fiddler. Yeah, but I think they're not together here at all.
Not his girlfriend. This is a relationship.
Yeah, he's got all sorts of shit going on when it comes to that. So then he goes back to Mexico in AAA again after he's been fired 20 times here. He says at this point, he knows it's, pushing it. He says, quote, AAA is my comeback. This will be my last chance simply because I don't want to restart again. Conan down there, who's running it at the time, he says he's on probation. The only thing that makes me think it's going to be different is he's definitely hit rock bottom, which is hilarious. Conan says he knows it's his last chance, and he told him basically show up on time. There's a press conference before the event, so he said show up on time to the press conference. Don't bring a bunch of fucking, chicks you met, at the strip club with you, and don't bring any motherfucking cats into my goddamn dressing room.
Yeah.
On time, no weirdos, no cats. Just show up at work. That's what he's asking. Very simple. So he shows up with, as it's described by one of the wrestlers watching him pull up from a hotel balcony, completely missed the press conference. Sure. Totally. Yeah. Blew it off. He pulled into the hotel courtyard in a $100,000 Jaguar that he drove 22 hours from Alberta.
Wow.
Down to Mexico, followed by Sam Fiddler, his valet, another guy that he had with him, some bodyguard guy who wasn't booked on the show, a bunch of filmmakers following him around with cameras, and some guy to just carry his cats. He's got cats on leashes and carrying them and shit like that.
He drove a whole day in cars with these people.
Got out, a whole entourage. This is what he did. So exactly what they didn't want him to do. So he apparently, there's an angle where he gets, stretchered out of the ring where, he's fine in the end. He pops up. He's very happy with himself in the dressing room. And, Teddy says, quote, it was the best feeling in the world. I've been charged with rape, lost my house. I've had nothing but bad publicity, and it's turned into a good thing. This is the first time I've wanted to prove myself.
Yeah.
You can't say good thing and rape in the same, if you want to be taken seriously and not considered a lunatic, you can't say those in the same paragraph, probably.
I've been charged with rape. But now my life's on a good track.
Turns out shit's going well. May 2016, those charges are dropped, actually. The Alberta Justice says the Crown determined after a review that the case did not meet the criteria that they needed to proceed. And the same day the charges are withdrawn, Hart signed a peace bond agreeing not to contact the two women for 2 years. So there's that. He later says that the two women... We don't know if this is true or not, but he says that the women were quote, convicted of perjury, but there's no evidence that happened. Okay. He just said that. And, who the hell knows? So 2016 is apparently a documentary with the filmmakers are Kurt Spanrath and Fred Kroetsch. Jesus, their last names are both terrible.
Yeah.
Kroetsch. Kroetsch.
Yeah.
You could do that a lot easier.
Is that Crotch?
Fred Crotch, BJ Anus. I can't take it today.
Yeah.
This is too much here. So they filmed a pilot for a reality show titled Heart Attack, I guess, or they were going to shoot a pilot for it, but it was never, they shot it. It was never aired.
Okay.
The description of the show says, quote, Hart lived in a mansion filled with models, bikers, and 50 Persian show cats. That sounds like fucking Tiger King is what that sounds like, except indoors. Yeah. The name of it ended up being Heart of Darkness is what they changed it to here. They said that his career seems to be going better at this point. The filmmakers are saying this as they follow him around. 2016, he officially gets divorced from Faye.
Really?
I don't know what the hell was going on there. November of 2016, talk a little bit about the Samantha Fiddler here. She was from Edmonton. She wanted to be a pro wrestler, and they had a relationship. She followed him down to the States, obviously. They went to Florida. In the ring, she went by Samantha Steele and Lucy Morningstar. Now, August, this is from that book again. It says it's rumored that in the early morning of August 30th, 2016, she tried to get a domestic violence intervention assistance at the emergency room in Melbourne, Florida, an hour from Orlando. I don't know if this is true, though. They go into this whole thing of this. It's a rumor that this happened. Apparently, we don't know what she was there for. They rumored that's what it was for, but we don't know. Basically, she wouldn't leave the hospital, so they took her away and charged her with trespassing, apparently. So they said there was no signs that she was under the influence of drugs or alcohol. She also ended up being a landscaper at one point.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so she's arrested twice while she's down in Florida, charged with misdemeanor trespassing both times. And the one, we know the one's at a hospital, but we don't know. The one happens in November of 2016. And she's released from jail November 19th, 2016. And basically, she's never seen again by anybody. She's released from jail and fucking disappears.
Oh, no.
Now, we have to say this, though. Both people we're going to talk about here, Teddy and this other guy, are never considered suspects of anything. They have no idea where she went. They don't know. I don't know what the course of the investigation is at. I don't know where they are with that. It's a cold case. I know
she's
that.
Still missing.
Oh, she's still missing. Yeah, they've never found
God.
anything about her. They're still talking about, what her tattoos are, and she might dye her hair this color and shit, like whether she ran away or what. They don't know.
That's so scary.
It's very scary. And they're, but like I said, we're not saying that these two guys are suspects or that either one of them are suspects. We're just going on, kind of her background of where she was. So she says that, Teddy says that, this is his statement on this. He says that Samantha and I had a both personal, albeit brief, and professional relationship, which began when I first met her in Edmonton. She wanted to become a professional wrestler, and I did my best to train her before she decided to pursue other interests, like landscaping.
Yeah.
Big interest. Samantha was a good-hearted person.
She loves jacarandas, James.
She wanted to do moonsaults, but she just said, I need to trim a hibiscus instead. It's just I have a calling for it. He said...
I had a landscaper, and I just thought, I can do better than this guy.
I more than I can, I need to, and I want to, and I feel it.
Fuck everything.
Fuck everything, and I'm putting it all down. Samantha was a good-hearted person and someone who I cared for. She also had a lot of things going on in her life, and issues with which she was dealing that extended beyond our relationship. By the time she moved to Florida, our relationship had ended, and I had moved to Texas. I was not in regular communication with her, and I do not know what happened to her. I hope for the sake of her family and her kids that she's somewhere out there and that she's okay. All right, that's his statement on it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I was past all that shit, already. Now, he brought her to train at this place, and this is a guy named Chasen Rance. I'm sorry. Chasen Rance is his name, okay? This guy is a convicted sex offender.
Oh, my God.
He was, in 2011, convicted of sexual battery of a victim aged 12 to 15. Oh, boy. Not great. That's not good. It turns out apparently it was a family member, allegedly, so not good. But he ran Team Vision, which was a training center there. So Samantha goes there to take classes there. She didn't know, obviously, that he was convicted for kid diddling at any point here. I would assume so anyway. He also, apparently, according to a bunch of places, allegedly, we'll say, because we don't know, whatever, was making porn from this spot and from his house as well. Boy. Making like kind of specialty weird porn.
Yeah. Niche stuff.
Yeah, they said it used his gym and his house to produce unlicensed sadistic chloroform pornographic videos for private overseas customers.
God.
Under his alleged porn alias Chase Sin and John Michaels. Gross. Teddy Hart is alleged to have appeared in a lot of the videos as Teddy Trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, that sounds awful. Also,
that sounds like you're going to get into fucking trouble with that. Why would you want to do that?
Dude, that sounds, in Florida, that just sounds so everything about that sounds as sleazy as possible. Like, is there anything more sleazy than this whole thing and
chloroform porn. Oh boy,
no way. Especially not with that flesh-eating bacteria floating around out there so easily attained. I'm never doing it. So Jesus Christ, this is so fucking weird. It's a half hour from Disney World, so you can stop by there, then take the kids to Disney World.
Pop on by.
As soon as your butthole returns to form, you can take your kids over to Disney World.
Jesus God.
Among the categories available for him are, in their selection, according to this book, are ball bashing, chain. I don't know if that's people in a chain or with chains. I'm not sure. I'm not into that. Three-way. That seems pretty self-explanatory. Yeah. College guy. So that's a obvious thing there. Armpit. I don't know what
fucking
who the hell's
somebody's
in armpits,
armpit?
But I don't know. Looking at them, fucking them, lubing them up. I have no idea what they're doing with these fucking dog collar, bald porn. There you go, Jimmy.
All right,
that's something for you. For if this doesn't
different,
if people stop listening, Jimmy's doing bald porn. Hair pulling, feet, forced to flex. I don't know what that is. Screaming at someone to flex their muscle. I don't know what's happening.
Do you fuck the bicep?
I don't know. Military. I guess that's probably a gay, like a fetish, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Head scissors.
It's a gay one, but it could just be a fetish.
I think it's a fetish. I don't know if it's a gay fetish, but I mean, it seems like that's probably for guys. It's a guy, for
guy on guy military.
I think
shit?
It's for gay men, probably is what
maybe
the people
but
who
chicks do like a dude in uniform.
Yeah, but if it's two guys, I feel like this is what gay men would use to masturbate to.
That's a great point.
I would feel like that
pornography is rarely marketed towards women, so great point.
They do. What it is. Yeah, I mean, it's probably, I would assume, I don't know. So, knocked out, which I guess that's...
I don't like that.
I don't like that at all. That sounds horrible. Black, just black. Okay. That's not odd. This is mat rats. I hope there's not actual rats. I hope that's some sort of...
It's a cat fetish one.
Rope.
Turn a bunch of cats loose on the rat rats.
They go, oh, look at them get those rats. Whacking it to that. Spanking, tickling, and vampire.
I don't like that at all.
I don't like that at all.
No. Army Hammer's in trouble for shit like that. That is fucking... That's scary stuff, man.
Creepy
it's fucking
shit.
Weird.
Also available for paying customers are, quote, one-on-one wrestling sessions, which is like, they used to do that in like the 50s. They do like, quote, apartment wrestling, and you go like, it was gross. And then they do meet and greets with some of the performers, and used gear worn by the actors is available for purchase.
No.
In case you want that. If you want some jizz-covered fucking...
I don't like doing it because kink shaming is fucked up because what that does is it puts it in a closet and makes that whatever you're into makes it dangerous.
These guys just seem like sleazy guys, whether they're making porn or not, but this just kind of proves it. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah,
doesn't mean
that's what it is. It's dudes.
If this is what gets you off, I don't know. I'm not here to judge you. As long as you don't fucking hurt anybody, I don't really care what you do.
Right.
But
it's 90% dudes that are the weirdos.
Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, our brains are messed up by that shit. So, now about this whole thing, the Chase and Rants guy, he said on Twitter, quote, "As for Teddy Hart, 4 years ago, Teddy came to stay with me briefly with his girlfriend Samantha. They trained at my facility, but after their split, she trained somewhere else. I had not seen her in over 3 months prior to her disappearance. I spoke with Sam's sister and did everything to help that I could. I gave her the number of the person I saw training with and told her if she needed anything else, she could contact me. I hope Sam is found alive and well soon." So, Teddy does a YouTube video where he rambles on and says that, talks shit about the Samantha Fiddler lady a little bit. She says she wasn't a wrestler. She went to the school once and then she got a job as a gardener. She was happy. She has her own place. She wasn't on drugs. She's fine. I wasn't with her. She said, quote, "I wasn't personally down there for more than 2 days. Then I left. You can confirm this with a few different people. Probably because the guy that I picked up who ended up putting me in jail was from Florida, and he ended up getting put in jail." Jesus Christ. "So I went back to Dallas and lived in Dallas, and then eventually that guy called me back and wanted a job. He thought he could be a referee and get training." He's out of his fucking mind.
Yeah.
January 1st, 2017 is one of these times he gets arrested. He is stopped by police for a hazardous traffic violation and attempts to evade arrest. Now, we don't know exactly what he did, but it also said that he was so intoxicated, he was super intoxicated, and allegedly was operating the vehicle without the consent of the owner, which
that's called car theft.
That's usually called stealing.
Yeah.
I feel like that's
Grand Theft Auto is what that is.
Most of the time, I hear that referred to as stealing it.
Right.
That's that's a weird one. Allegedly operating vehicle without consent of the owner. So
unless you're sitting in the driveway dicking around with the radio with the car on, that's theft.
They made it. It almost sounds like he just he uses the car but forgot to make sure that the other person didn't need it right then. That's what that almost makes it sound like. It's just really a quick check and balance.
The guy that bought it.
Yeah, the guy whose car it is, or the lady whose car it is. So yeah, it's pretty fucking interesting. So after that, he returns to Major League Wrestling, 2017. Here he goes there, and who the hell knows what the fuck he's doing there. So November of 2017, he has an update. This is an update on his arrest, his situation, and everything like that. This is on Twitter, and it says a message from Teddy Hart via phone, 11/12/17. So
somebody's dictating this for him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He says, I want to give everyone an update on what's going on with me because I know a lot of people are asking. I'm back in Texas right now, and I'm awaiting the next hearing on my court case from 2016. I have a great lawyer working for me and a lot of good people in my corner. No matter what happens, I know that I have to keep my head up. I believe that God has a plan for me, and I am prepared to face consequences for my actions, whatever they may be.
Yeah.
The cat god will keep him in line, I feel like, at this point. What the fuck is wrong with him? So he ends up, like I said, he's back in MLW for a little while here, and we got to get past all that. Goes back to AAA again, even though he's been fired a million times. But we'll skip past all that, get right to the meat of this here. February 2020, he's arrested in Virginia, and he is charged with possession of a Schedule III substance with the intent to sell or distribute.
Yep.
He says it was ephedrine later on, is what he'll claim. According to his booking information, it was possession of a Schedule III narcotic with intent to sell or distribute, punishable by up to 12 months in jail, as well as a $2,500 fine. So that is February, early February. March 4th, he's arrested again, this time in Virginia for violating the conditions of his bail by not staying under house arrest in Texas, where he's arrested for fucking intent to distribute controlled substances. So he's arrested there, gets out somehow, and then March 26, 2020, he's arrested again in Virginia.
Oh boy.
Now, to lead up to this, to tell you how this happened, we will let a man named Pork Chop lead the way.
Can't wait.
What do you say? John Pork Chop Johnson here. Double J Pork Chop Johnson.
That's
here.
why he goes by Pork Chop, because it's not easy going by John Johnson.
That's what he's an indie wrestler too, so you got to go by something, I guess. So he says, this is a post he put up, and I'll just read it, and it kind of tells you what leads up to this day in the last couple months in Teddy's life. Last month, Teddy was arrested for the first time for drug charges, and would be released a few weeks later, provided he establish residence at a legit location and be placed on house arrest for the duration of his trial in April. Maria Manick, whom she and I go way back when we both broke into the wrestling business together 5 years ago, contacted me and asked if I had some available space in my apartment for Teddy, since he was likely going to be stuck in Virginia for the duration of his trial. I told her yes, I would take him in, mainly as a favor for her. About a week later, I picked Teddy up from the jail facility. Gee, that's how you want to pick up your new roommate.
Right.
To give him a place to stay while he prepares for his April trial. He seemed really appreciative and thankful that a complete stranger would open up his home to him during his time of need. And despite some reservations on my part, fully aware of his reputation, I believe everyone deserves a second chance at life and to treat others as they treat you. At first, the relationship between Teddy and I started out really good, where he would share funny stories with me, and we would even watch some of his wrestling matches so that I could pick his brain and apply it to my own wrestling career. So he's kind of, mentoring him a little bit here. Slowly but surely, some of his antics would irk me from time to time, but I would overlook it. Chalk it up to maybe the trauma of him being incarcerated was starting to get to him. As everyone knows, I'm a big fan of Nintendo. As everyone knows.
Everybody
Jimmy.
knows that.
As you know, Pork Chop likes Nintendo. You guys all knew that. Everyone in crime and sports land. You guys knew that Pork Chop loves him some Nintendo, right?
He didn't say anybody that knows me. He just says, as everybody knows.
He just says, as everyone
Sonic the
knows.
Hedgehog is blue, and everybody knows I love fucking Nintendo.
Everyone knows that, Jimmy. Everyone. Not just my friends. All people.
Unbelievable.
He says, I'm a big fan of Nintendo and have a huge array of Nintendo paraphernalia. One day, when I came home from work, I noticed that my living room was decorated with my Nintendo stuff, as well as some merchandising ads that I install in stores. I thought I was kind of irked that he gotten most of my stuff from my bedroom without my prior approval. I have to admit that the way he had everything up and set up was very creative and looked pretty damn cool, and I wish I had pictures of it to share with you, but more on that, so I let it slide. So he went into the guy's room and took shit that was the guy's and put it up on the wall. Right. He said he did it really fucking cool, so he let it slide because it looked cool, but he was like, that's a little weird that he went in and got my shit. He said the next day, after he returned to work, he had put up more decorations in the kitchen and living room. Well, I thought it looked cool. I had to let him know that going in my room without my permission is a big no-no with me, and going forward, my room is off limits to him unless I'm present, and he assured me that he understood that. So the next day, he put up even more decorations. Where although they were very elaborate, now they are obstructing to my refrigerator, freezer, and cabinets to where I couldn't even open doors without something falling off. And to make matters worse, he even used my brand new ads for my merchandising job that I was supposed to install that week. The ones he installed previously were old or extra ads. Okay? But due to his desire to show off his artistic skills, my new ads were rendered useless, and I had to contact my supervisor to reorder my ads and ship it to my apartment overnight so I can install them in time.
Right. So he's become an interior decorator in a place that he does not own.
Yes, with shit that the guy does not want him to decorate with.
With shit he doesn't want decorated with, and also that he doesn't own.
That's the other thing. He just steals them from the guy's room and puts it up. Huh? I put your stuff up. Doesn't it look cool? Well, yes, but don't do it, please.
I rummaged around your room and found some stiff socks and hung them over the bed.
Basically, he's decorating it the way he doesn't want to while he's at work. He's basically he has a live-in girlfriend now that's going through his shit when he doesn't want him to go through his shit, and then hanging stuff up and go, well, I think it looks cool, and now you can't change it. So he said, as that's not bad enough, certain items such as my charger, silverware, my diabetes kit, etc., that's important, was all out of place and not in its proper habitat, as you can see in the pictures I provided. And he shows pictures that are a mess. Finally, I said enough is enough. While the first decorations was cool, now you've gone overboard to the point that I'm essentially wasting valuable time looking for certain items and whatnot. Not only did I forbid any more displays to be built, but I also commanded Teddy to take down all displays and return everything to its proper location. I gave him an entire weekend to complete this task, and if the apartment wasn't spick and span by the time I returned from my engagement that weekend on Monday morning, that I would be contacting his parole officer to have him dispelled from my apartment.
Oh, he's going to snitch? Jesus.
My God. Throughout the weekend, I would periodically call on him to see how he was progressing, and he would say that it was going good, or so he said. So I asked him to send me some pictures of his progress, but he told me that he had ran out of space on his phone and couldn't send me pictures, which I knew he was telling a tale. No space for a picture, man. Sorry. Half a megabyte can't fit. So I actually returned home later that Monday afternoon than anticipated without telling him to test him if he would use that extra time to complete his tasks or waste more time and come up with excuses. So I returned home around 2 p.m. on Monday, and to the surprise of no one, not only had he not completed his task, it looked like he didn't do a damn thing. Naturally, my patience with him was wearing thin. Was about to he's talking about kicking him out here. I gave him until midnight to complete what he was originally supposed to fulfill in the morning. He said if he failed to meet his deadline by midnight, it'd send a bigger message by kicking him out in the middle of the night, leaving him with fewer options to seek shelter somewhere else, is what he said. So he said he gets back home that night, and he said not only did he not do anything, but now Maria, his friend that hooked this whole thing up, showed up because she pretty much knew Teddy's word wasn't worth shit and was there to offer assistance to me if Teddy refused to leave, basically. Like, I'll help you get him out. So he said he was begging for a second chance, but he wouldn't give him one. Finally, I guess Maria said she, helped Teddy pack up his stuff and get him out of there. So they leave. She managed to get him into a motel until she could arrange for another living situation for him. So that's how it goes. He said that he was pissed off. There was cat stuff everywhere and cat food and shit like that. He says as he was getting, he says he gets a call the next morning as he's getting ready for work. It's a call from Maria, but before she could complete a sentence, the phone abruptly cut off. Uh-oh. He's like, what's up with that? He said, I immediately sensed something was wrong and dashed over to the motel they were staying at. It was then that I discovered that Maria had caught Teddy stealing money from her red-handed, yet he swears up and down that he didn't steal from her. He also snatched her cell phone from her, which explained the abrupt phone call that she had attempted to make. Despite pleas from me and Maria for Teddy to return her property, not only did he continue to deny it, he said that he actually dashed out of the motel room and tried to make a run for it. So this guy says, I immediately called 911 to report a robbery, and literally less than a minute later, the police came right on time and apprehended Teddy. While he wasn't placed in jail that day, he would eventually be back in jail a second time due to a house arrest violation, blah, blah, blah. So he is now currently running from a motel room while his ex-roommate and a woman whose phone he's phone and I was going to say her fucking the hell else did he steal there? What did he say? The phone and the something else. I don't know. Anyway, he's stealing shit from a woman in a motel room.
Yeah.
And this is insane, basically. I don't know what's going on here. The cops are coming, not arresting him, even though he's how many times people have to call? How many times do people have to call someone else to like handle you? Right. How often does that happen? Like in your life? Zero, right?
Yeah.
This guy's constantly got like a whole network. If they have like a phone tree of who to call if Teddy's acting up.
Like bouncing a rambunctious cat back into his cage.
That's pretty much what he is. So he is just a goddamn disaster at this point. He goes back to the apartment, the one he got kicked out of there. And it's a mess, obviously. And he's looking around and he's fucked it up. I mean, he knows he's fucked it up and he feels terrible about it. And luckily for him, there's a knock on the door. And who is it but Dexter Manley, interior decorator from New York City. And he says, how is it you've come to arrive here? I mean, look, oh my God. How many cats do you have? Oh my God. 10. Oh my God. I'm counting by twos and I can't even keep up. That's how many cats oh my God.
They're moving.
The floor is moving. I thought it was a fur coat on the couch for a minute. It's like this. It's just a moving thing. You, sir, are white trash. This is unbelievable. Oh my God. What is happening here? No, you're not going to do it. I want him. No. Ignore the door, Teddy. You need to clean. This is a mess. I have a contract right here. Vince. I said no, Vince. You can't. Vince, don't do this. I'm slipping the 1099 under the door. I'm slipping and tell Teddy to pick it up. I can't fit the pen under there. Tell him. Could he send me a picture with his shirt off? Is that possible? Vince, oh my God.
No, he doesn't have enough memory.
He has no memory on his phone. Vince, he's got no memory on his phone, Vince. You're such an... I have to go. It's going to break the door down for... Poof. And in a poof of BOA and 1099s, they're both gone. Luckily, he kept Vince outside for Teddy's own good, really, honestly. I mean, we know that wouldn't have worked out for him. 1099, it fits right under the door. So what ends up happening is he ends up assaulting Maria Manick, allegedly, here at the house of wrestler Ace Montana, which is the most indie wrestler name I've ever heard in my life. No offense to Ace Montana.
He's a cowboy gimmick.
Probably not. Probably just some... The names don't match up to gimmicks anymore or anything like that. Who the fuck knows?
Ace Montana. He's an Islander.
He's an Islander. Ace Montana. You know him. He's a karate expert. So he accuses Teddy of assaulting Manick and revealing that he pulled a gun on Teddy to stop him from hurting Maria further. Hart ends up charged with strangulation by the police and is held without bail for about a month here as well, up until his court date. Montana writes in an interview, quote, Montana writes, and it sounds very official, I literally had to pull my gun on Teddy Hart and throw him out of my friend's house. This piece of shit literally choked out and physically assaulted Maria Manick and would not let her get help. She texted me, I'm in danger. Never did I think I would meet a piece of shit like this guy who has now been arrested with a felony against him. I don't think this guy knew how close to death he was. Hashtag fuck you, Teddy Hart. So
Hannah's uncle is crazy.
It's going off. Yeah, not taking that shit.
No.
So I guess strangulation is in the state of Virginia. If found guilty, you could face 1 to 5 years in prison for that. Now, it seems like it should be more. For strangulation, that sounds awful. I get it. I get that it's what
they
it is. They
usually get like 3 to 5 out of it, though. It's a pretty
better
serious
word.
charge, but it's a felony, James.
It sounds really bad, though.
Yeah.
Strangulation sounds as bad as attempted murder. Like it sounds
does.
right on the same. Because
it's generally a cause of it.
You need air generally to breathe and live. So,
right.
So I don't know. Now, Maria Manick on YouTube, she refutes this whole thing.
What?
She is, she says that she's perfectly fine. She detailed what happened, said that she and Teddy got in an argument over something silly. And she said that Teddy had been training her to fight and that sometimes in arguments they use wrestling moves as a joke.
Oh, my God.
Who argues and then does jokey physical moves during an argument?
Just kidding.
Just kidding. Here, let me drop kick you. She went on to say that Teddy ended up taking her phone and holding it in front of her, which pissed her off. And in attempts to get it back, Teddy felt she smacked him, which she doesn't remember doing, but she may have, she says. So this led to Teddy putting her in a chokehold, which she says she sat through as a test to see how long she could go before tapping out and being released from the hold. That's what happens with me usually. If and he says most people are in a domestic situation. They're like, let me see how long this will last.
Right.
But she's saying she was treating it like a training session or something. These are her words. Now, the fucked up part is, we'll get to the end. We'll talk about it. But she says she said that since Teddy released her when she tapped out, everything was fine. Then she said, I don't know what happened. That led to him putting her in another chokehold, and that this one hurt pretty bad, and that when she tried to tap out, he didn't release her right away, possibly because she may have been tapping herself instead of him and not realizing it. So
I couldn't tell because I was fucking being choked.
I was half unconscious from choking. She said she was scared. This scared her, and she told Teddy to leave the house for a bit, which he refused to do. At this point, she called her friend Ace Montana to come over, because that's who you call when you got to settle a situation. Right. You call Ace Montana to mosey on over on his trusty steed. Ace came over, and he and Teddy got into it a little bit, and Ace pulled a gun out. She told Ace not to pull the gun out. Ace and Teddy ended up going outside, and Maria says she didn't know that he was filming footage of the incident and felt hurt that he posted later. I guess Ace Montana posted about it later. Ace returned to the house after getting Teddy outside, and she said he called the cops. Maria said she didn't want the cops called and didn't believe in calling the cops at all. She said she had a few marks on her neck but was fine. She told the police she was fine and didn't feel any need to press charges, but the cops saw the mark on her neck and arrested Teddy. She said she was going to call her lawyer to make sure they know that she doesn't want to press any charges. She also said that Teddy was not trying to hurt her and that if he wanted to hurt her, he would have punched her in the face, not choked her. She also noted that she didn't consider the incident to be physical abuse because her and Teddy are the same size. She's a fucking strong woman. I mean, I'm not saying if a woman's strong, you can beat her up. But if you look at her, I get what she's saying. And she is, quote, trying to be accepted with the men when it comes to fighting. And if anything, this needs to be called aggravated assault and not domestic abuse, because domestic abuse, she pulled feminism into this, saying it's misogynist to call this domestic abuse because it's a fair fight. He's legal. That's what she basically
take a
said.
punch? Fuck him.
Yeah. She said, I'm not afraid of him. I'll fucking fight him. If all fair is fair, I'll fucking kick his ass. We're the same fucking size.
Let's skip the words domestic violence and escalate it right to fucking assault.
Yeah, which only the victim of this can say. Anybody else said that, it would sound crazy.
Right.
It would sound crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, if a guy was like, beat up his wife and was like, that fat bitch is 100 pounds more than me. What the fuck you talking about? She should kick my ass. That's a fair goddamn fight. They'd be like, whoop, in the cuffs before you know it, rightfully so. But the victim can be like, we're the same size.
If anybody's an underdog, y'all should be giving me high fives. I took that big heifer down.
It's hard. Lucky I took them classes, boy, because she wasn't going to go down otherwise.
See, you punch somebody with 100 pounds on you.
Yeah, so I feel like as a guy, that's not really our place to even.
No.
Women,
I guess we
you
leave
debate
it up to
that.
her to decide.
Women debate that amongst yourselves and figure out what you'd like the law to do with it, because I don't even know what to say about that, because I can't say, I don't know, does she want to be. Does equality go to that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Is aggravated assault worse than domestic violence? It should be.
Well, it's just aggravated. It doesn't matter what's worse. She's saying if he hit a man, it would be aggravated assault. But, it's because she's a woman.
Is it worse to punch for domestic violence, or is it worse?
Put it this way. I think it's more like this. If you met someone and you knew they had a conviction for aggravated assault or domestic violence, which sounds worse to you? I don't want to hang out with domestic violence guy, but aggravated assault guy, that could have been in a bar fight. I don't know what the fuck happened.
Aggravated assault sounds like there was an aggravator combined with the assault, James. That's scary.
Maybe the guy was a real dick and you hit him with a pool cue. You don't know. You don't know the circumstances, but domestic violence sounds bad. Domestic abuse just sounds terrible no matter how you cut it.
Domestic violence guy doesn't sound like he's going to punch me. Aggravated assault guy does.
He might, but also, if you go out and some shit goes down, domestic abuse guy isn't going to help you. He hits women. He's a pussy. Aggravated assault guy is going to get your back and fucking, he's a good guy to have on your side. Yeah, you want your friends to be assaulters, not domestic abusers. That's what you want.
That might be the point right there.
That's what you're looking for. Now, I mean, this is ridiculous. I don't know whether to feel, I don't know what the fuck how to feel about this whole thing. I feel bad for this woman because either way, he's fucking putting her in chokeholds, which isn't right. Even if she says it's right, it's not fucking right. He shouldn't be doing this, even if she doesn't mind. Yeah. I mean, choking her to near unconsciousness without her consent is a little fucked up, I would say. I mean, I feel bad for a lot of people here, Jimmy, but not nearly as bad as I feel for Teddy Hart. Real estate acquisitions and development at Hines. He went to the Wharton Business School and everything, which is like the top business school there is. Teddy Hart, president at Dominion Ceramic Tile Incorporated. So there's that guy.
He's got a tough life enough.
Teddy Hart, executive director at Morgan Stanley and a financial advisor. So this guy is, you want Teddy Hart managing your money.
Either that or a cat collecting woman puncher.
One of the two. Ted Hart, reporter at WCMH in Columbus, Ohio. TV. He's a TV guy.
Yeah.
Teddy Hart, stormwater specialist at City of Corvallis. I want this guy worrying about my stormwater, don't you? And also, Teddy Hart, attorney at law at Ted Hart, attorney at law. So,
I know a guy that could use you, Ted.
Ted should be an attorney at this point, just to help his own situation.
He's familiar.
And also, Ed Annis, I found also, because that's his real name, umpire at Salsa Digital, which I don't know how you would umpire salsa or how salsa can be digital. I don't know what's going on there.
Fuck? Is he an umpire of dancing?
None of those, digitally, I guess, only. I don't know what, none of those words make sense together.
They don't go together.
That's just a jumble of words that they picked out. Those are three disparate Scrabble tiles that make no word, and that's what that is. It's a mess.
I'm a cardboard accumulation president. What?
That's it. So May 4th, 2020, he's named a fugitive from justice in Texas here. June 23rd, 2020, he is accused by an indie wrestler named Machiko, 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 I don't know, of physical and sexual abuse. She posted on her Twitter account this, and this is obviously her words, not ours. Quote, this is what he would do, according to her. Quote, Would repeatedly steal my car and keys. That made me constantly late for work. Lost a job once due to it. Would steal cash, demand I pay for marijuana whenever he needed more in between bookings when he wasn't making money. Financial instability ensued, causing me to still owe $10K on my car. Car got repossessed at one point. Showed no remorse or care when I was in shambles. My sister had to pay almost $2,000 for me to get it back. Consistently wrecked my vehicle. How many times do you wreck it before it's not working anymore? It's still in poor condition, so I guess a lot. He even ripped off my side view mirror in anger. Gorilla Tape isn't holding it up to this day. No, not going to work. Wow. Abandoned our apartment, cats, and bills when we moved Samantha Fiddler to Florida, causing my financial instability and credit to snowball into what it is today. Any vehicle he ever owns has someone else's name on it, including a Jaguar that ended up getting repossessed here in Texas, the Jaguar he drove down to Mexico. Samantha signed on it, so the missing girl was the one who signed on his Jaguar.
Wow.
Quote, he would lay his hands on me, put me in chokeholds where I would pass out of consciousness. That's dangerous. I'd wake up not knowing what happened on the floor. I had even pissed myself one time. This was what was charged for. This was what he charged for during the Maria Manic incident. That's what he was charged for. Was choking a woman out. Is what she's trying to say. He would call it, quote, MMA training, although it always happened in the midst of our fights.
Yeah.
So
now's the time you
Why'd
choose.
you do that? What the fuck? Why'd you crash my car? Fuck your car. I'll take your fucking rearview mirror, rip it off. Fuck training time. And then start choking you? No. That's not training time. You can't just call training time at any point and start choking somebody out. That's not how that works.
To the point of urination. Jesus Christ.
Jesus. This was, wow. He would blackmail me for sex, saying, quote, if you don't do this or send this video, this bill isn't getting paid. I will pull your booking off this show, because she's a wrestler too. Oftentimes he would do this when I was on the phone with him driving, demand I pull over to send a video. I did that maybe once or twice. Holy shit. He coerced me under the influence of drugs to sleep with our roommate. I did it.
No.
I did it, and I own to my decisions. However, the coercion was apparent when our roommate paid him $4,000 in cash within minutes after the incident. I still feel absolutely disgusting to this day about it. So she's saying
pimped her for $4,000.
He's saying that, yeah, that's what she's saying here, allegedly. He moved in this man who was abusing drugs and had mental disabilities. His name was Ryan. Ryan took a whole bottle of my prescribed antibiotics, then tried to light my apartment on fire. Holy Jesus fuck.
He did that on penicillin?
Wow. Ted had beaten the hell out of him for it. This was the incident that led to his felony assault charge to a disabled here in Texas. That happened months before the DUI incident on New Year's Eve, which is upcoming. This was what prompted me to leave him because I was at home and not at work. If I was at home and not at work, they would have arrested me too. He never got in the ring with me to train. We never worked out together, always parted ways at the gym. Our matches together, he would tell me how horrible I was doing, including one time in Los Angeles when I was on the top turnbuckle. Next spot in, he separated my shoulder. She said, did it on purpose. Training time. He would force me to watch his YouTube content for hours straight and would get angry if I turned away or wanted to do something else.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, he's like an annoying comedian.
Yeah. Watch this set for me.
Watch this set. What do you think of this? I've been working on this. Shut the fuck up.
Do you have any feedback?
Yes. Stop and quit and go fucking hang yourself. That's my feedback. Not this lady.
Yeah.
Comedians who tell us to do that. Not friends of ours, but just, you know what we're talking about. Assholes that we don't like to begin with. And then they're like, hey.
And friends.
Yeah. And people we've done comedy with a million times that we don't like we're annoyed with. He would never let me sleep regardless of my work schedule and our travel. However, he never stayed awake on road trips, leaving me to occupy myself with no sleep for as much as 12 hours on some rides. I stuck with him because I came too dependent on him. This is how he wins. Okay. September 10th, 2020. He's arrested again for what is this? He was taken in for violating his house arrest in Virginia here. You, sir, may fuck off. Gets 10 days in jail for this.
Yeah.
He's fined $21 for not carrying or exhibiting his driver's license or registration, and a further $61 for failure to use his headlights while his windshield wipers were on. So there's that.
That's a law?
The arrest, it is. Yeah, you have to have your headlights on when your windshield wipers are on. The arrest originally had charges of marijuana possession and improperly mounted license plates, but they were dropped after there wasn't sufficient evidence here. Also, during the same ruling, it was here ruled that there was probable cause in regard to a Schedule III narcotics and possession with intent to sell or distribute, and that'll move on to a grand jury after that. He said that he had a prescription for it, but didn't have a prescription for it.
He is a fucking problem.
He's a problem. October 23rd, 2000, he's arrested. He's charged with 3 offenses.
2020?
2020, sorry. Yeah. He's arrested for 3 things. This is the injuring child, elderly, or disabled person, evading arrest in a vehicle, and possession of a controlled substance. He says, and I quote, I was facing 7 to 10 years in jail for assault on elderly, child, or handicap, and a DUI. He says that it's a guy he was sharing an apartment with, was the guy she brought in that had a mental disability. Teddy also claims the guy was lying about his disability. So he said the charge shouldn't even be that. That's ridiculous.
Can't call it that. He's not handicapped.
Yep, he's fine. Teddy says the guy started a fire at 4 a.m. and the smoke detector went off. So even she who hates him, the fire happened. Because in her diatribe of what a scumbag he is, she even said this asshole set my fucking apartment on fire and Teddy had to quell it. So
after he took all my antibiotics.
Yeah, after he took all my antibiotics. So started to smoke it for. So Teddy said he slapped him across the face. That's how he rectified this situation. Slapped him. The guy was scared of Teddy and fled the apartment. The guy's mother, this is according to Teddy, claimed that Teddy was going to kidnap and confine the guy, so she called the cops. That's how that happened. So he also says during this time period, this is the evading arrest for it, by the way, he got a job as an Uber driver driving strippers home, he said.
Oh, can you imagine?
That's awful. Annoying, let's just say that. One night, he was drinking a glass of water at the strip club waiting, and someone must have spiked his drink, he said, because he doesn't know what the hell happened. He said he tried driving home, but he got in a 90-minute police chase from this and claims to have been tasered 13 times.
Well,
I mean,
that's what happens when you drink too much water.
He even said while he's being tased after the chase, the car was dangling over a precipice as they were tasing him. So he could have fallen right off a cliff. So he's really making up some tall tales. And he said he had 4 cats in the car that he was most concerned about, that they didn't care a shit about. So he says, quote, 7.5 months of my life was locked up during that time, and 2 months of that was in rehab. So that's 9 months out of a year. 9 months out of a year and a half, I was dealing with the rules and limitations on what I could do, and I still took 40 matches or bookings, and I think all of those matches were 4-star matches. So he's still talking about he had good wrestling matches in between all that shit.
I dealt with a lot of shit, and I was still amazing.
Yeah. He said, for whatever reason, I beat that last charge. I was facing 10 years in jail, and I asked all the guys to pray for me. He said everyone in jail.
Yeah.
He said everyone in jail prayed for him because they knew he was such a nice guy. And he claims that they did it because they knew that Teddy brought people of all races together.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's a real Jesus.
Thank you, Dr. King. You're much appreciated for all of your work in this department. I'm sure if only Teddy Hart was put in charge of everything, we could all get along harmoniously and everything would be wonderful.
Real
and
Teddy
racism
Llama
would stop and it would be great. Yeah, he's the Teddy Llama. It's perfect. So February 16th, 2021, he is arrested again. He's been held for 6 days. He was arrested on the 10th here. He's held in custody. The charges show he's being held for possession of a controlled substance and, again, injuring a child, elderly, or disabled person as well. So that's what he's waiting for now. That was February 16th, 2021. So that was basically a month ago. He's an ongoing party. This is never going to stop.
No.
But, I mean, we're not going to do the show for 5 more years, so there was no reason to wait for him.
He's going to die terribly, and it's going to be so sad.
Oh, it's going to be bad. He's going to be the next guy. And if you can't get enough of Teddy, follow him on Twitter here. Teddy Hart is back. He's at Teddy Hart is back. He only has 15,400 followers. So I love it when I have more than double the amount of the people we're doing. That's just funny to me.
Feels pretty good.
That feels weird. Or you can buy some of his merch at ProWrestlingTees.com. They have one that's him in a throne with a cat on his lap that says King of the Indies.
Yeah.
One here that says Teddy Hart trained my cat to kick your ass. There's some other ones. That. And we had to skip over some stuff. He did some weird shit. Like he showed up at events, NXT events and AEW events, just like with a cat in the audience and shit. Like he would just like show up weird places with cats. He'd show up to like indie shows and he'd put the cat up on the top turnbuckle, and
that's his thing.
That's his thing. Like Coco Beware had the bird. He had the cat, or Jake the Snake. It's weird fucking shit, dude.
Wouldn't it be awesome if one of his cats ate Coco Beware's bird?
That would be amazing. Just mauled it at ringside. Or they at least got in a fight over it, a scrap. Yeah. Sadly, Coco Beware's bird died in a fire.
Oh, no.
Isn't that sad? It did. Frankie died in a fire.
Took too many antibiotics?
It's just passed out. Inviting crazy people over.
Holy
so that, everybody, is Teddy Hart. And we tried to cover the most crazy aspects of it because he's one of those guys that if you got into the wrestling stuff, he did a lot of ridiculous shit, but he did so much shit.
It's a 5-hour show.
It's a 5-hour show otherwise, so we had to stick with kind of the outside of the ring insanity that he got into because there's enough of that to fill a fucking long show.
Yeah.
So that's what that is. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, there is a way to tell us and tell the world. Yeah. Get on Apple Podcasts, that purple icon, give us 5 stars, and say something. Doesn't matter what you say. Say what your favorite kind of cat is. Even if you hate cats, we don't care. Just if you had to like one, what's your favorite kind of cat?
Dig deep. Find one that nobody's heard of.
Yeah, there you go. Find a kind of cat, and these are pretty. We don't give a shit. Or calicos have calico buttholes. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter what you say. I don't know. Do they? We said that earlier, didn't we? They might. I don't know. You said calicos have calico buttholes, so I figured calicos
I don't know that I said that.
Oh, I thought you did. It'd be weird if a non-calico cat had a calico butthole.
Do you? I'm curious. What things I have not said that you think I've said?
I thought you said something about calico buttholes earlier when you were talking about
they're all
cat
females.
Buttholes. But then something came up about cat buttholes. We're getting off the subject here. Okay, so give us a review. How's that? That's what we're trying to get to. Give us a review. 5 stars would be good. Shut up and givememurder.com right now for everything small town murder and crime and sports. Listen to Small Town Murder if you haven't. Are you out of your goddamn mind? Listen to what pissed the state of Mississippi off so bad. Check out Small Town Murder. What did we do to cause the media to fucking misspell my name horribly?
Yeah.
Find out. Get on that.
Hate us.
Yeah. Do all of that and check that out. Listen to Small Town Murder. You can follow us on social media at Crime and Sports on Twitter and Facebook, at Small Town Murder. Murder on Instagram. That's the name of that.
Yeah.
And I'm just laughing at Jimmie laughing.
I can't
laughing at calico buttholes. I'm like,
I just see a little kitty cat stink star with like an orange patch and a black
I know.
one.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I thought it was funny. Calico
butt.
Plus, calico butthole just sounds pretty. It's got a certain ring to it. I don't know.
That's
why.
a fucking garage band if I've ever heard
calico
one.
butt. If you didn't say it, whatever. But we came up with something. Who cares? The combination of whatever you said and whatever I heard. It's see how teamwork works, Jimmie. It doesn't matter. Calico butthole, and now it's a thing.
Holy shit.
Without both of us, none of that would be possible. That's the wonderful thing about this whole thing. That's why I love working with you. So, all right, let's be serious. We have to make money now.
I'm trying so hard.
Patreon.com/crime and sports. This is our bread and butter, Jimmie.
That's where it is.
We're not making any fucking money on crime and sports at all. So this is all we get here. We have to pitch this. This whole show is just to pitch this fucking Patreon because we're not getting paid any goddamn ads on this fucking show. I'll tell you that much right now. Paid dog shit. We'll give you $100 for Small Town Murder. What if we throw in crime and sports? All right, $102. Okay, never mind. Fuck it. We'll do it
Don't
anyway.
Don't you know that's where we find calico buttholes?
That's the good stuff. So anyway, patreon.com/crime and sports is where you get all of the really, really good, all the calico buttholes are there. They're lined up for you and you can't miss them. This
where we
week,
have the most fun. We can be ourselves and we really appreciate you guys supporting that because we can't do it without you.
Thank you so much. And we've had crazy stuff. We talked about the Hotel Cecil documentary with the disappearance of Elisa Lam, and we did the prisoner dating game last week, which you'll have access to that in our whole back catalog if you subscribe. Lots of episodes, so lots of good stuff to catch up on. You're missing out if you're missing Patreon, because it's good stuff. This week we're going to talk about the craziness and sexual peccadillos of a basketball announcer who screamed yes after every goddamn shot that went in, and wore a crazy toupee and liked to bite and do weird shit. So we'll talk about that.
He didn't even sell the toupee. Anybody that saw him knew.
He didn't even use, I don't even think he used glue. I think he just like spit on his hand and wiped it on his head like you do with like a suction cup in one of those old basketball hoops. He just stuck it to his head like a Garfield on a side window of a station wagon.
Had like a baby on board sticker dangling from the back of it.
He just licked it and stuck it on his head. Boop, there you go. So we're going to talk about Marv Albert and how he kind of lost his job and got criminal charges and had the entire country make fun of him for about 3 years. That was back in the 90s. Yeah, that was back in the 90s where if you did something crazy, it was like 3 years was the news cycle for that shit. You were talked about it forever. There was no memes to just burn it out and be like, I don't want to hear about the Tiger King anymore. That was a week ago. This is like...
That just happened.
Yeah, Joey Buttafuoco was talked about for 7 years because his name was Buttafuoco. You know what I mean? Like, that's hilarious.
Amy Fisher was like filing AARP paperwork before they stopped making fun of her.
Now it's gone in 2 seconds. So Marv Albert there. And then on the Small Town Murder Patreon episode, which you'll also have access to, we are going to talk about the Night Stalker documentary about Richard Ramirez that we've all probably seen recently. And it's just... We've talked about it so much. Me and Jimmie have just discussed it here and there and dropped like 20 different times. We've talked about it for 5 or 10 minutes, and we're like, we got to just kind of sit down and have a whole conversation about this thing. What other better place than Patreon? Because it's super crazy. And so a lot of you guys have asked for that too, that you've asked us to talk about that one. So we're going to talk about that. Lots of stuff coming up in Patreon in the future. We're going to talk about, Jesus Christ, the Nexium cult. We're going to talk about Donnie Moore killing himself. We're going to talk about the death of Bruiser Brody. We're going to do Chris Benoit. We're going to talk. There's so much shit coming up for both shows.
I got to hand it to Netflix too, man. Their documentary series lately have been fucking fantastic.
They've been top notch. They've been doing good work. Great. And we've all been watching them, so let's talk about them, goddammit. Patreon.com/Crime in Sports. And like we said, you get access to both shows, the whole back catalog. And in addition to that, Jimmie will mispronounce your name brutally, absolutely in a terrible way, and screw it all up, and you won't know. You might not even recognize it, but he's going to try his hardest, goddammit. He's going to try for it because you're a producer. Or if you just want to have good karma and also get your name mispronounced by Jimmie because you are still a producer, you can do that over at PayPal by making a donation using our email address, crimeinsports@gmail.com.
Right.
That said, it's been a lot with the cats and everything else. I think I need something. I need to hear positive things. I need to hear the names of the people who would never repeatedly put us in chokeholds while we roll around in cat shit. Jimmie, hit me with them now.
This week's executive producers are Danielle Marr, Mara Wolf, Mara. Is that Mara?
Mara?
I don't know, James. Cameron Kushwara's wife, Wendy, had a birthday this week. Happy birthday.
Happy
Jordan
birthday,
Bennett, Daniel Levy. I want Levy. It's a Levy, right? Yeah.
It could be Levy or Levy, depending.
I want that to be Eugene's boy, but it's probably not. Carolyn Osborne, Francisco Ariza, Betty Murphy, Matthew Richards, and Remington Richards, and also Irene Cruz.
Remington.
Thank you guys so much. Truly, you're incredible.
And Remington's a cool name.
It really is. Yeah.
It's pretty badass.
I like that. Other producers this week are Luke Rogers, Wrestling's Donnie. Remember Donnie? You know Donnie.
Yeah,
Donnie, who sends us all kinds of wrestling shit.
Donnie's the shit, man.
Yeah, his girlfriend, I believe, Emily. Maybe just a friend. Maybe he wants it. I don't know. She got a new job though. Congrats, Emily.
Congrats, Emily.
Right. Emmeline Brumley donated both ways. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you.
Matthew Henry also, Maria Rasper, Annabelle Wolf, Peyton Meadows, Michelle Miller. I think that's the Michelle Miller that lives in northern Arizona that drives all over the place.
I think it is.
Listening
Thank you.
to us. I think so.
If it is,
otherwise,
thank
it
you.
could be another Michelle Miller.
Otherwise, thank Michelle Miller. Yeah. Either way, we thank you, Michelle Miller.
Also, Thomas Smith, Alex Ortiz, Nicholas Ryard, Carl Kirshner, Gary Howard, Jacob Harper, TJ Mack, Don Finch had a birthday. Happy birthday,
TJ.
Don. Amanda Knight, Christine Tate, John Miller, Hunter Erickson had a birthday. Happy birthday. Surfing pioneer Duke Peo Kahinu, Moko Huli Hola Kahanamuka.
Awesome.
That's all wrong. It's all
Huli
wrong.
Hala Kolamuka. Thank you.
Erwin Lopez, Morris Buttermaker, who I believe is in a movie, Morris Buttermaker. I think it's a reference to that.
I don't know. I
also,
hope so.
Rabbi Shmulovich.
Of course.
Shmulovich?
Well, thank you.
Susanna Platt, Todd Cochran, Daphne Jean Baptiste, Corey and Kelly Fowler, Krista Fleischer, Beth Charlton had a birthday. Happy birthday. Jen Excel from Discord. Evidently, Discord is a thing, and a lot of people talk about us over there. I don't know how to get on it or what it is. I don't know if it's discord.com. There's a thing called Discord, and there's conversation about us. So thank you all over there for doing that.
We love you.
Sherry Smith, Janice Hill, Elizabeth Thompson, Annie Goulahy.
Nice. Well done.
Oh, that's the Overboard reference right there, Annie Goulahy.
Oh, yeah. That's
My last name is Goulahy.
Goulahy. Roy.
Barbara Flick, Jessica Masseri, Robert fucking Patrick, Jonathan Gorostieta.
Hey.
Sarah Surridge, she put umlauts over all her vowels. That's
good.
Lovely. TJ Bartlett in a triple axle dump truck. He drives a triple axle, James.
Jesus Christ.
Michelle Crotty, Scissor Cesars, Jennifer Visconti, Ashley Vio, Michael DeGrief, Marshall Geralt, Sarah Young, Sarah Ficht, Jesus. Alyssa Caris, Emmeline Brumley, I said that. Jennifer Morales, Mike Burton, Gregory Beamer, Alexis Nobis, Adam Yeager, Corey Murdoch, Simon Brown, Dakota Moore, RDC, Jen Nuri, Christian Land, Andre Russell, Stephanie Griggs, Matthew Franklin, Jimmy Marks III. What? I don't know what that is. Kent Hull, David Klinger, Cortland Wise, Juliet with no last name, Nicole Schroeder, Kim Boyd, Aaron Gilmore, Jessica Gandy, Glenn Small, Stephanie Mueller, Cole Lynch, Kaylani Segovia, Marlon Bowen, Veronica Phillips, Kayla Hilliard, Evelyn Dixon, Jacqueline Gable, Emily Haynes, Amanda Irwin, Gabby Rockhill, Jeff G, Liam Cocker. Oh, boy. David Newman. Nope, that's Did Newman. What? Why is that Did? That's somebody with the last name of Newman, because my computer decided to change their first name to Did.
Well,
no way there's somebody.
Thanks, Did Newman.
Maybe it's Deed. I don't know.
Died Newman.
Raul Montano, Alexis Sermier, Susan Hammond, Angela Joyner, Ashley Schmidt, Mike Hawk Hertz. Good for you, sir. You got it through.
Nice.
Congratulations. Darlene Fitzgerald, Ashley D. Will, Tom Persinger, Sarah Torrance, Sarah Hobson, Carolyn Pulaski, Sarah Carson, Dana with no last name, T.C. Palmater, Gloria Davidson, Cassie Joe, Ann Schmidt, Stuart Weissman, Lauren Wolf, Jessica Schwind, Adam Wyatt, Matt Bichard, Jessica Cordes, Laura Nolan, oh boy, Kane Alang, Stephanie Hillman, Gabriel with no last name, Julie Rye Jurgens, got all that Jurgens money, Kate with no last name, Courtney Drake, Arlene Dameron.
Damn, Aaron.
Tiffany Hansen, Elizabeth Linloff, Megan Hanlon, Laura with no last name, David Murray, Jill Reiniger, oh boy, Andrew Lamper, Taylor Smith, what?
You just mispronounced Smith. That's great. That's a new low, Jimmy.
Mary Vaughn, Faye Glover, Ted Cervantes, Jennifer. Boy, oh boy. Jennifer Reeves, Peggy with no last name, Blake Adams, Colin Adams, Vinyl Pacheco, River Moore, Brooke Harrison, Tatum Kendall, Robert Smith, Brianna Simon, Craig Meyer, Rebecca Branca. Oh boy, what did I do? Awatif, Adele Ishmael Decker. Oh, I'm sorry. Connor with no last name. Carlin Nielsen, Heidi Holland, Susie White, Rick, Sam Squanch, Chris Tracy, Crystal Krieger, Randy Cloudis, Reefer Doctor, Mandy Frank, Maria Lugo, Miranda Armstrong, Jarrett Carroll, Jeremy with no last name, Zane 053. What happened?
You're cooking, man. You're cooking.
I'm going. Ben Levesque, Amanda Vilson, Heather Bennett, Carly Bird Irwin, D. Schaefer 06, Melissa Rose, Dwayne Coder, Jennifer Dabrowski, Cody Tyree, Mike and Jess Miller, John Cunningham, Stephanie Shady, Mish Moore, Jennifer Williams, Anne-Marie Concha, Cherie Gregory, Jesse Blue, Dustin Motley, Kelly Shanklin, God damn it, Francisco Ariza, Hollywood no last name, Michael Sheffield, Gabe Gonzalez, Cynthia Person, Lacey Cowgill. Cows don't have gills. Jade McCracken. Oh, boy. Amy Smart, Michelle Alvarez, Michelle Brown also, Tyler Rutherford, Brian Chatfield, Brenna Thornley, Jen Huber, Kelly Anderson, Ruth Dunlap, Bill Bowes, Justin S., Jamie Monroe, Kenneth Clay, Nikki Woods, Jennifer Schrader, Alexandra Blue Wilson, Tabitha, nope, that's Talitha, Krill, Megan Butler, Captain Awesome, Heather Crow, Chris with no last name, Jay Bell, Brianna Hagberg, Layla Carlisle, Belle Gill, Katie McBroom, Jessica Smith, Catherine Payne, Victoria Doyle, Amelia Simmons, Amanda Laboud, Heather Lake, John Penrod Jr., Marissa with no last name, Melissa Hotstinsky, Justin Peterson, Brandy Barton, what the fuck, that was too easy and I ruined it, Jennifer Costa, Marlissa Nicholson, Susan Skugard, Eris Van Mayhem, Jesus, Emily Dillon, Krista Lagasse, I don't know, Susie Pike, Susan McFarland, DPG, Ashton Sova, Dan with no last name, Griffin Murphy, Kayla McCann, Andy Lopez, Erica Neva, John Schrader, Sarah King, Bonnie Foster, Alan Mason, Jay Lizotte, Ashley Levin, Dylan Hosey, David Durden, James Robinson, Jesse with no last name, Patrick Tyler Edwards, Haley Davis, Renee Lighthall, yes, Angela Davis, Jody Pell, Sweet. Jenny with no last name, Daniela Refugio, Nicole Freeman, and Kevin Dowdy, Andrew Helvey, Jesus, Jackin, nope, that's Zach. Zach Lebsack.
Jack and Lebsack. Thanks, Jackin. Keep on jacking, pal.
Eric Golby, Josh Ross, Carl Isaacson, E. Walanka, Megan, Ebony Ingram, Jason Molnar, Christine Glomvalski. I did. I'm an asshole. God. Melanie Moran, Michael Warwick, Megan Bullock, Matt Foster, Josh Lindsay, Caleb, Brian Jones, the Diamond, what is that? Dynamics.
Hey.
The Dynamics.
We got it.
Katie Light, Aaliyah with no last name, Courtney Close, Luke Salomon, Patty Scott, Megan with no last name, Brooke Bones, Charles Chandler, Sean Pfeiffer, Christine Tack, Sean Patrick, nope, that's Kirkpatrick, Zachary Brinkerhoff, Courtney Tittle, Jarrett with no last name, Jenny Groff, Samantha Fitzgibbon, Jason Cover Rabuius. Coleman 6, Turtle Run, Kane Stripe, Carolyn Pepler, Alexis from Hospitality Podcast, Haley and Brenton Plant, Kevin Wright, Nathan Aldridge, and Brett Stetson from that Stetson fortune. Jesus Christ. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much with all your hat money.
Thank you, everybody, so much. So much.
You're unbelievable.
Man, that list, it's crazy. Thank you so much for what you do for us. We are absolutely floored by it, and we can't thank you enough. It's just amazing.
You're amazing
every week. So thank you, Jimmy. What if they wanted to talk to you, both either insulting or maybe thank you, or try to sell you a Persian cat? How can they get a hold of you?
You can find me on the internet at Whisman Sucks.
Beautiful.
Where can they find you?
I'm at Jimmy P is funny, or just use Google and find us. It's pretty easy. You can do that if you really want to. If
our
not,
last names are one word. That's your hint.
Yeah, that's. If you see one with two, it's probably not me. Or if it's from a Mississippi news broadcast, it
might
is
be
me.
Him.
So, I mean, in Mississippi, honestly, they that could be trying your best. We don't know. We call that a Mississippi cut and paste. Where one guy goes, pay! The other guy writes a pay, and he put, what? Ah! Click. That's how that works. So we don't know.
Proving that they are last in the country.
Perfect.
In education.
Yeah. You're mad because we're calling you dumb, so you misspell the name. That's smart. Good work, everybody.
You make a last name 2 words. No hyphen, just 2 words.
Just 2 separate words. That said, everybody, I think it's time. We will see you very, very soon with more crazy, crazy shit. Lots of stuff. We're going to have a lot more famous people coming up as we kind of empty out the coffers of the remaining heavy hitters and all that sort of thing. And so buckle up, everybody. Live from the Crime and Sports Studios. We will see you next week.
Bye.
If you like crime and sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from law and crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus